of the national anthem.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. Car ton bras sait porter le pays, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Que l'on ouvre les portes, let the doors be open. Statements by members, déclaration de député, the honourable member for Halifax West.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
To return to our ridings and families, I rise to give thanks today to my children and all of my extended family, to my staff, Anthony, Connor, Chris, and Sam, and all my interns, and all who have worked to support me and the residents of Halifax West. Mes remerciements.
My thanks also to everyone who helps us on the Hill, Maxime in the private member's business office, our committee clerks, and all the analysts and interpreters.
And our pages, et mes collègues
and my colleagues, MPs and senators from all parties.
Working together in 2023, and especially as Bill S-246, a perfect complement to my own Bill C-268, respecting Lebanese Heritage Month, passes and proceeds to this place. I wish everyone the blessings of the season. Let us spread kindness, compassion, and love. Joyeux Noël and Happy New Year.
The honourable member for Edmonton West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to recognize two veterans from Edmonton, John Kennedy and Bruce Gibbon. John served for 2 decades with tours in Cyprus and Rwanda. After retiring, John helped found the Edmonton location of the Veterans Association Food Bank, serving as the assistant operations manager. Bruce served for 23 years in the forces, including tours in Croatia, Sarajevo, and Haiti. Due to health issues from his service, Bruce endured extreme hardships, but with the help of another veteran, he was able to find a new focus, a new purpose in life, assisting other veterans like himself. Bruce became the operations manager of the food bank. Together with other veterans, John and Bruce assist hundreds of veterans with food hampers and programs to help them cope with life in the civilian world. Now, it's shameful that here in Canada, veterans are relying on food banks to get by. So thank heaven for John Kennedy and Bruce Gibbon for always being there to help veterans.
Here, here. The honourable member for Etobicoke Lakeshore.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today concerning the recent by-election in Mississauga Lakeshore. First, I would like to thank the former MP Sven Spengeman for his 7 years of stellar service. This week, we elected his successor. To all the volunteers and all of the candidates, my sincere thank you for participating in this election and working so hard. It was a tough election for many reasons, not the least of which there was 40 names on the ballot. For those of you who are trying to mock our democracy, it won't work, and please don't do it again. Soon we will welcome Mr. Charles Sousa to this House, and this is the last time I will be able to ever say his name in this chamber. Going forward, he will be the honourable member from Mississauga Lakeshore. Charles brings a wealth of experience to this House. He will be a great addition. We look forward to working with him, and knowing Charles the way I do, you ain't seen nothing yet. Thanks, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Beauport-Limoilou. Mr. Speaker, as we get ready to leave Parliament to spend the holidays in our ridings, I'd like to take a few moments to celebrate selfless giving. This is the generosity we find among people who get involved in their community with the sole purpose of helping others and seeing smiles on their faces. And when we think of generosity, we think of Santa Claus. And I know a Santa Claus, a good and generous man who I'm extremely proud of, who got involved wherever he went, from the Lower St. Lawrence to the North Shore to the Eastern Townships, with a few detours in Alberta and Africa. My father is Santa Claus. Colleagues, I may be no gift, but my father is. Let's each in our own way, like my father, be generous every day and only wish well for others. Happy holidays to everyone. I love you, Dad. The Honourable Member for Sherbrooke. Mr. Speaker, last Saturday I had the opportunity to take part in the Sherbrooke Firefighters Toy Drive. Since 1940, they've been distributing new toys every December to more than 1,200 underprivileged kids in the region, or around 800 families. I'd like to thank our firefighters for continuing this wonderful tradition. Over this holiday season, many Sherbrooke families are going through tough times. I'd like to thank all the organizations in our community that are providing a lifeline to our families, including those that provide food. And our government will continue to support our families and these organizations. I guess you could say 2022 has been a roller coaster ride. Many this holiday season will connect with loved ones and re-energize for the new year. Happy holidays and Happy New Year 2023 to all Sherbrooke residents. May 2023 bring you health and peace. Take good care of yourselves.
The Honourable Member for Dauphin, Swan River, Neepawa.
Mr. Speaker, it's an honour for me to stand in Canada's Parliament and congratulate Dr. Bituk Malik on being named one of Canada's top 100 most powerful women by the Women's Executive Network. Dr. Malik specializes in diagnostic radiology at Manitoba's Dauphin Regional Health Centre and has dedicated her professional career to helping those in her community and across Canada. She has worked to advance medical imaging, helped shape the evolution of stroke and trauma assessment, and mentored many medical professionals who hope to follow in her footsteps. The rural Canadians who proudly call the Parkland region their home are truly honoured to have the world-class physician in their community. On behalf of all Canadians, I want to thank Dr. Malik for her contributions to her patients, to her community, and to medicine all across Canada. Congratulations on a well-deserved award.
L'honorable député de Yukon.
The Honourable Member for Yukon.
Strange things done in the midnight sun by the folks who moil for gold, but the Arctic trails and the winter tales will make you long for the cold. The northern lights are beautiful sights for anyone to see. For a night on the marge of Lake Labarge in the Yukon is the place to be. Now, whether you come from Calgary to kick sled or flirt in the snows, or leave home in the south to roam up on air north, God only knows. Embrace the cold, and the land of gold will hold you like a spell. And then you will say, in your homely way, that you have never lived so well. On a Christmas day, you can mush your way over the Dawson Trail. Lose a toe on the way? That's okay. It can go in the next cocktail. Ring in the new year in Beaver Creek, Old Crow, or Watson Lake. Wherever you go, you will surely know many sights that will memories make. There are strange things done in a winter's night by all who would be bold. On Arctic trails amid moonlit spruce, you will ski, sled, or look out for moose. The northern lights are an incredible sight for all of you to see. Now I welcome you all to the land that I love. Happy holidays all from me.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Sudbury.
My community of Sudbury. The mission provides 2 meals a day, breakfast and dinner, 365 days a year. Over the past year, the number of meals has grown by 1,000 per month. With 90,000 meals being served yearly, as well as clothing, showers, and laundry facilities, the mission is a necessity for our community. It is a safe refuge in times of need for the people of Sudbury. Throughout the month of December, businesses and organizations from the community will be helping to serve meals to clients while raising important funds to ensure the mission is equipped for food and essentials throughout the year. Mr. Speaker, I want to highlight the important work being done by the Elgin Street Mission and the incredible team of volunteers. Without their dedication, the mission could not operate and support our community.
The Honourable Member for Calgary-Shepherd.
I rise today to congratulate Véronique Brunel from Calgary-Shepherd as the recipient of the 2022 Prime Minister's Award for Teaching Excellence in STEM. Véronique teaches at William Aberhart High School and has worked as a French immersion math teacher for grades 10, 11, and 12. Véronique is committed to innovation and her unique teaching style. It's not uncommon to see students writing on whiteboards, on the walls, and even on windows. Students are challenged, and she has worked hard to inspire and encourage her students in their university aspirations. Her encouragement has led to students joining the Wisest program at the University of Alberta that places high school young women in research labs, providing teens with an opportunity to work on campus in a science or engineering-related field. Congratulations again, Véronique. Your students, your teaching colleagues, and parliamentarians are proud of you. Félicitations, Véronique. Tes étudiants.
Congratulations, Véronique. Your students and your Member of Parliament are proud of you.
The Honourable Member for York Centre.
Mr. Speaker, this Sunday will mark the first night of Hanukkah. In my riding of York Centre and homes across Canada and around the world, millions of Jewish families will light the Chanukiah and celebrate the Festival of Lights. The light of the Chanukiah is a symbol of peace and life. As we add candles each night, peace and hope grow stronger and brighter. It is always light that triumphs over darkness. This year we have lost one of those lights as we mourn the loss of our friend and colleague, Jim Carr. He was a model of kindness, compassion, and selflessness in this House and for all Canadians. Jim's advice was always given with a love of life and country, a twinkle in his eye, a laugh, and a smile. He was the eldest and wisest member of our Jewish and Jewish Muslim caucuses, and I can only hope that in the time we were privileged to share with him, a bit of that wisdom has passed on to us. His love and pride of his heritage and of the prairie and the communities that he was a part of were a source of strength for so many. As we prepare to celebrate Hanukkah, may Jim's family find strength and comfort from his light and the legacy he held in this House, in Winnipeg South Centre, and across Canada. May his memory be a blessing. Yehi zichro baruch.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Confederation.
Mr. Speaker, the building of coal plants in China and the war in Ukraine show Canada has a greater role to play in the global energy market. If we better supply the world with energy, oil, gas, and LNG, then dictators from oil-rich countries will not be able to fund their wars. If we better supply the world with our environmentally responsible energy products, then we can provide better alternatives to the resurgence of coal in China. If we better supply the world with our Canadian LNG, we can help make real progress on lowering emissions by providing a cleaner alternative to coal. If we better supply the world with Canadian energy, we create jobs in Canada. We can build better communities in Canada, and we can do our part for the environment and for social and for global security. We have the product, we have the people, we have the skills and knowledge. What we don't have is a government to champion Canadian energy.
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Member for Battle River Crowfoot.
Mr. Speaker, the carbon tax is by Liberal design an inflationary mechanism to drive consumer change. It has the stated goal of making Canadians pay more. Not only does it add directly to the costs of Canadians' bills, but the carbon tax adds to the cost of every step of the supply chain. Take a loaf of bread, for example. You pay the carbon tax on the inputs to grow the grain, then again to harvest the grain. You pay it on transportation and then to heat and store the grain. Then pay for it on the equipment to process that wheat into flour, bake it into bread, transport it to the warehouse, and then to the store. Every step of the process adds costs that then Canadians have to pay for. And then it gets progressively worse as with planned tax hikes. With costs rising, record food bank usage, and the essentials becoming unaffordable. It's time that this out-of-touch Prime Minister and the left-leaning ideologues that keep him in power put their ideology aside and join with Conservatives to finally axe the carbon tax.
Mr. Speaker, 'tis the last sitting week before Christmas, and one thing unites the nation. We all heartily dislike the scourge of inflation. It's been quite the year. Whoever thought we would see our very own Prime Minister singing Bohemian Rhapsody? A different queen passed away, leading to great lamentation, but her death was quickly followed by Pierre's coronation. The previous leader moved on with barely a ripple, and now Conservatives can unite behind triple, triple, triple. Pour Noël, le Bloc...
The Bloc's asking Santa for only one thing. They really don't want to take an oath to the king.
I joined the NDP as it wishes to change our laws, to get rid of the preemptive use of the notwithstanding clause. And as for the Greens, their leadership has created quite the fuss, because their very own Liz has lasted 1,000 New Year.
The honourable member for Algoma, Manitoulin, Kapuskasing.
Mr. Speaker, we have a duty to take bold action to address the climate crisis, build a strong economy, while creating a work environment that allows women to thrive and close the gender wage gap. By embracing just transition, we can create the green energy jobs of the future and attract more women into the skilled trades.
We can lift women and their families out of poverty, providing them with training and sustainable job opportunities currently not offered in our traditional natural resources sector. This work must start now. Just transition legislation should focus on delivering a credible plan for clean energy jobs, provide training programs for women in the industry, and create affordable childcare spaces that responds to the reality of shift work. Organizations such as the Alberta Federation of Labour have been clear that just transition legislation can no longer be delayed. Canadians know that we need to deal with climate change, and we must do all that we can to ensure that women are at the forefront of this new energy economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And
The honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly. If I understood correctly, Mr. Speaker, this will be our last sitting of 2022, and if you don't mind, some fresh air would do everyone some good. But meanwhile, not much has been settled. There's been a lot of theatrics, but not that much sincerity. I have the duty and the wish to tell people to take care of themselves. The healthcare system is no place to celebrate the holidays, and desperate people are crossing the border at Roxham Road. The French language is in jeopardy, and that's no gift to offer anyone. But if sleeping on it helps, let's take a few nights off. And I wish all my colleagues here in the House a very Merry Christmas. Yes, Christmas. And happy 2023. And the last word is for you and the staff of Parliament, from the kitchen to the pages, from security to you yourself. Your patience and your smiles remind us that we are there for the good of everyone. So to everyone and to Quebecers, happy holidays.
The honourable member for Lanark, Frontenac and Kingston.
'Tis just before Christmas, and 'tis both strange and true, that our home's Yule colours will be yellow and blue. That's not red, green, and white, so let me explain that our house is home to 6 guests from Ukraine. It was back in the spring that from Dnipro they flew, 2 parents, 3 children, and a babushka, too. Our hometown of Perth is a welcoming place. You'll fit in regardless of language or race. Our guests live in our house. They've helped deck the halls, the kids making snowmen and throwing snowballs. But when those 3 kids nestle snug in their beds, it's visions of home that must dance in their heads. And how does a mum focus on the right gift to buy when back home the missiles still drop each day from the sky? And then there's Dad, who deserves admiration. He must balance his duties to family and nation. For exiles, no Christmas can truly be mellow. So our Christmas this year will be blue and yellow.
Member for Vaughan Woodbridge.
As the son of immigrants, it is embedded in us to seize every opportunity to work hard, give back to our communities, and continue building a better Canada that works for everyone. A simple teaching that has become a beacon for many and a reason for the residents of Mississauga Lakeshore to elect a new MP, my dear friend Charles Sousa. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we know that a prosperous future for all Canadians requires responsible leadership and targeted support. That is why we show up. Our Prime Minister was in Mississauga Lakeshore, unlike the Leader of the Opposition. Plain and simple, our government has been there for Canadians through every challenge by putting more money back in their pockets when they need it most. Our commitment is unwavering. This Christmas, families in Mississauga Lakeshore, Vaughan Woodbridge, and across the country will continue to receive direct support from the programs our government has put forward. Programs the people of Mississauga Lakeshore clearly support. To all Canadians, those residents in my wonderful riding of Vaughan Woodbridge, for a year, thank you, led by your generosity and compassion. Merry Christmas, Bon Natale, and Happy New Year.
Oral questions. Question orale. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
First of all, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to wish everyone happy holidays, happy Christmas. But for some, it will not be so happy because unfortunately the cost of a Christmas dinner has gone up by 20% since last year. A Mississauga food bank said that some are visiting the food bank not just for food, but to try to get medical assistance in dying because they cannot pay their bills. How can the Prime Minister justify that money is being wasted when people can't even eat? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to join in with my colleagues to wish everyone happy holidays, but we know that for many people, these holidays will be difficult. With the increase in the cost of living linked to global inflation, things are very hard. That's why we've been there to invest in families. We doubled the GST credit. We are helping to pay for kids' dental care for those who previously didn't have access. We're also offering help to low-income renters. And we are also cutting the costs of childcare in half. We will continue to be there for Canadians this year and in the future. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Working. We wish everyone a Merry Christmas, but it won't be merry for a lot of people. 1 in 5 Canadians are skipping meals. There's a 20% increase in the cost of a turkey dinner for the average family. And one Ontario Food Bank CEO said, clients are telling us they're considering medically assisted dying or suicide because they can't live in grinding poverty anymore. This is after 7 years of this Prime Minister. He can promise whatever he wants, but these are the results he's actually delivered. How does he justify the $4.6 billion of waste when people cannot afford to eat?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we know Canadians are facing difficult times, but we also know Canadians continue to step up for each other. But that's why this government has continued to move forward with direct supports for Canadians, whether it was doubling the GST credit for 6 months that gave hundreds of dollars more in the pockets of 11 million families, whether it was moving forward on rental supports and dental supports for low-income Canadians. These are things that the Conservative Party voted against, but we're delivering $1,300 over the next 2 years for families to help with bills on dental. We're delivering $500 on rental. We're going to continue to deliver for Canadians through this tough time.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
What he has delivered is a 40-year high in inflation, the fastest rising interest rates in Canadian history. 1 in 5 Canadians not able to afford food. And what for? Well, according to the Auditor General, there's $28 billion of suspicious spending and another $4.6 billion of outright waste. Money that is driving up the inflationary crisis that Canadians are paying for right now. He gave checks to dead people and prisoners, Mr. Speaker. When will he recover the $4.6 billion of wasted money the Auditor General identified?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, Canadians will remember that when we hit the challenge of the pandemic, we needed to be there for each other, and this government made the decision to move quickly to support Canadians, to support families, to support workers, to support seniors, to support youth, to move forward on supporting small businesses, not only so people could get through the pandemic and the health crisis that it was, but also so we could weather the economic storm that came with it. And that's exactly what we did, seeing our economy come back faster than most of our fellow economies around the world. We're going to continue to support Canadians and make those investments that keep a better future.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Except the money went, according to the Auditor General, 1,500 prisoners got the money. Dead people got the money. $660 million of the money is under criminal investigation, and $4.6 billion was wasted altogether. Now, Mr. Speaker, the question was very simple. On what date will this Prime Minister and his government recover the $4.6 billion of waste identified by the Auditor General to date?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians, like the Canadians in Mississauga Lakeshore, recognize the rhetoric from the Leader of the Opposition for what it is, proposing cuts in Canadian pensions, proposing cuts for EIs, proposing to do less for Canadians who need it. They voted against supports to make sure that families could send their kids to the dentist this year and next. These are the kinds of things that Conservatives continue to propose in their cuts and austerity approach on this side of the aisle. We'll continue to be there to support Canadians who need it, because that's who we are as Canadians. We support each other.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This from a Prime Minister who's deliberately driving up home heating bills this winter. Home heating bills are expected to double right across the country. 40% of Atlantic Canadians live in energy poverty. Rural Canadians in Northern Ontario forced to heat with oil will have to pay more as well. And now the Liberal NDP plan is to raise prices further by tripling the carbon tax. Will the Prime Minister tell us exactly how much his carbon tax will cost the average Canadian family in higher home heating bills this winter?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the carbon price in Atlantic Canada doesn't kick in until the spring, so it won't cost them any more this winter. If he had actually paid attention instead of sharing disinformation with Canadians, he would know that. The reality is we are delivering a price on pollution that not only makes sure we're protecting our future against climate change, but we're putting more money in the pockets of hardworking Canadians to support them through this transition. That's what our price on pollution does. That's what it will continue to do to support Canadians while we fight climate change.
L'honorable député de Belleuil.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, let's try to get into the holiday spirit. The Prime Minister received a generous invitation from the provincial premiers. A little bit like a family dinner. They might tell them about a sick aunt or uncle. They might tell him that it's expensive, and he might find the conversation boring, but he can't turn it down. Because in the holiday spirit, the Prime Minister should accept the invitation from Quebec and the provinces. Will he? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, in the history of our country, no Prime Minister has met with the provincial premiers regarding a health crisis as I have. I will continue to meet with them regularly. And I am looking forward to meeting with the Premier of Quebec in a couple of days to discuss Quebecers' concerns and to discuss how we will continue to work together. We know we need to improve our healthcare system, and the federal government will be there to support provinces while they make these improvements. We know that's important for families throughout the country. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Well, the Prime Minister seems to be mixing up a party and a one-on-one conversation. I'm sure he's too polite to make such a faux pas. There's a lot to be mentioned at this family dinner. There are cousins who are waiting on a stretcher in a corridor, an uncle who's waiting for a kidney transplant, someone's kid who has a respiratory virus, someone else who's facing a serious mental health crisis. The premiers want to talk about that at the family dinner. Does the Prime Minister really not want to meet them? the Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we know that Canadians need an improvement to our health system. Too many people don't have access to a GP. Too many people need to wait months or even years for a mental health appointment. And we know that people are still standing in line for extended periods of time. The federal government has invested $72 billion additional dollars in the health system over the years, and we will be there to invest more. But Quebecers and Canadians know that it takes more than money, it takes results, and that's what we're working on with the provinces.
Burnaby South.
We have a crisis in our healthcare system that is impacting children. Children are suffering. And the Prime Minister says that because of an impasse with the premiers, that he can't do anything. I want to remind the Prime Minister that he promised in the last election to hire 7,500 more nurses and doctors, a promise that if he kept, would absolutely help in dealing with this crisis. So my question is, did he mean what he said?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we've all heard from across the country how Canadians need access to family doctors, how Canadians need access to better mental health services quicker, how Canadians need to see shortened wait times and an end to surgery backlogs. And that is exactly what we are committed to. We have been working with the provinces. Our health minister has been directly engaged with his counterparts over the past many months to ensure that as we invest more in healthcare across this country, we're delivering results and outcomes that Canadians can count on. That's what Canadians want. That's what we're going to be delivering.
Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
When I'm Prime Minister, I will keep my promises. Now, another promise, let me try again.
Order. Order. Okay, I know everybody is excited and Christmas is coming. And it's what, a week and a half, 2 weeks away? My Advent calendar says 2 days, but I think there's something went wrong there. But wait a minute, just calm down. Everybody take a deep breath. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South, from the top, please.
Absolutely. For the folks over here, when I'm Prime Minister, I will keep my promises. Absolutely. Now, let me try again. There's another promise that this Prime Minister made that would certainly help the crisis in our healthcare system. He promised a guaranteed...
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm having a... Order. 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 The Honourable Member for Burnaby South, please, from the top. We'll try one more time.
Now we know that there's some people in this chamber that like the number 3. So when I'm Prime Minister, I will keep my promise.
Hear, hear.
But let me try again. There's another promise the Prime Minister made that would certainly help in this healthcare crisis. He promised a guaranteed wage of at least $25 an hour for long-term care workers. Now, this would help free up spaces in the hospital so seniors could go into a long-term care home and get the proper respect and treatment that they need.
Yes.
Now, did the Prime Minister mean what he said, or was he hoping that a fight with the provinces would mean that he didn't have to deliver on this promise either?
Hear, hear, hear. Full Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as we demonstrated through the depths of the pandemic, the federal government is going to step up and is going to continue to step up to support Canadians, to support these essential frontline workers who, while all of us take a little time away from our work with our families, with our communities, are going to be continuing to work long hours in hospitals, in senior care homes, we're going to continue to work with the provinces in terms of making sure that wages are raised for our frontline workers. The federal government will be there to do its part. We need to make sure we're recognizing those people who are heroes day in and day out to care for our most vulnerable.
Well, Leader of the Opposition.
Well, the Prime Minister sent out his public safety minister today. We thought to back down on his hunting rifle ban. Instead, he just gave a rambly endorsement of the same policy and announced that his rural MPs from across the country, including rural Newfoundland, support the ban on hunting rifles. And the Prime Minister has tried to deny that he's banning those rifles, even though First Nations have said so, his experts have said so, his own caucus members have said so. So will he stand in the House today and really look us in the eye and tell us that there are no hunting rifles on his banned list?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we made a commitment a number of years ago to Canadians to ban assault-style weapons from this country. There's no place for guns designed to kill the largest number of people as quickly as possible in this country. And that is why we're moving forward with an amendment that ensures that assault-style weapons are banned not just in the past, not just in the present, but into the future. We're going to carefully work with hunters and farmers and caucus members and all parliamentarians from rural areas to ensure that we get that list right. But all Canadians want to see less gun violence in this country. That's what we're going to deliver.
Leader of the Opposition.
I mean, Mr. Speaker, that's not what he's doing. He's banning firearms that in many cases are not even semi-automatic. These are firearms that have to be rechambered every single time. They are deliberately created for hunting and sustenance. The Assembly of First Nations has unanimously spoken against this ban on hunting rifles, as have numerous experts and now members of his own caucus. They all agree that his ban does not target weapons that are designed to kill people. It targets weapons that are for the legitimate Canadian tradition of hunting. So will he announce he's backing down from attacking our hunters today?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we've heard clear concerns from First Nations, Métis, and Inuit partners. Our intent with this legislation is to target guns designed for the battlefield, not ones commonly used for hunting. As I've mentioned, the Minister of Public Safety is taking the time to get this right, and that means consulting with partners to make sure we're not capturing weapons we shouldn't be. Now, part of that process is showing up to meet with Indigenous leaders, something the Leader of the official opposition failed to do just last week when he had an opportunity to sit down with AFN chiefs.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I have been meeting with First Nations leaders from across the country, and they have been unanimous in their desire to protect their millennia-old tradition of hunting. That requires, in the modern sense, the use of hunting rifles. The Prime Minister's government has tabled 300 pages of banned hunting rifles before a Canadian parliamentary committee. He is wasting hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, targeting the legitimate tools, hunting tools of rural people and First Nations. Why doesn't he put that money into securing our borders and fighting crime instead?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The government that the Leader of the Opposition was part of before we took office in 2015 cut close to $1 billion from our borders and police services across the country. We, on the contrary, have been investing to restore that funding, even as we move forward close to $1 billion on keeping our communities safer. We also have invested massively in our border protection to ensure, for example, that last year we were able to collect double the amount of illegal firearms trying to cross our borders as the year before. We will continue to protect our borders. We will continue to protect Canadians. We will continue to move on gun control.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
There's no question that his policies are more expensive than our policies, but they have delivered poorer results. Today, violent crime is 32% higher than when he took office. That includes a massive increase in gang violence. The head of the Toronto Police Force says 82% of the firearms that are used in crime in Canada's biggest city come smuggled in from the United States of America. They are not brought here by hunters from Cape Breton or rural Alberta. So once and for all, will the Prime Minister stop wasting money on hunters and go after the real criminals instead?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the last Conservative government, of which their leader was a key part, slashed nearly $1 billion from our police and our borders. We're building back that capacity. We've invested nearly $1 billion to end gun violence and keep guns out of the hands of criminals since 2018 alone, including another $137 million for the CBSA in the fall economic statement to fight gun smuggling and trafficking, and it's working, Mr. Speaker. We doubled the number of guns interdicted at the border last year as compared to the year before.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Again, they're going after the innocent people rather than the real problem. Moving on to the heroes that protect our country and go to Veterans Affairs to get the services to which they are entitled. This government is now racking up an embarrassing and shameful record of having recommended medical assistance in dying. At least a half a dozen veterans now report that they have been advised that medical assistance in dying might be the best solution for them. Can the Prime Minister, having had time now, tell us exactly how many veterans have been recommended that their lives come to an end?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
This is absolutely unacceptable, and Veterans Affairs Canada is taking serious measures to ensure not only that this never happens again, but that any Veterans Affairs officers who have been making those recommendations irresponsibly and on their own no longer are in a position to make that. But I will highlight, Mr. Speaker, that we've invested over $10 billion in support for our veterans after 10 years of the previous Conservative government nickel and diming them and using them for photo ops. We will support our veterans as we've continued to do and respect the work that they've done.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This is from the Prime Minister who said that veterans are asking for more than he can give. This is from the Prime Minister. Is this a first Prime Minister who's ever presided over a Veterans Affairs Department that recommends that the heroes who served our country should get medical assistance in dying instead of being given a good life, the one that they have earned? One former soldier, current veteran, actually said the policy is triple D: delay, deny, and dead veterans. Mr. Speaker, the question is very specific. How many veterans have been given the recommendation that they should go to medical assistance in dying? The number, please.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Number one would be too many, and that is why we condemn in the strongest terms anyone who has recommended that to our veterans. Our veterans lived a life of service and deserve the utmost quality of care from our governments. That is why we invested $10 billion after the previous government chose to shutter Veterans Affairs offices across the country and nickel and dime them every chance that they could get. We respect our veterans, which is why we're taking so seriously the reports that this unacceptable behavior happened within Veterans Affairs. Our veterans deserve the very best, and that's what we'll continue to give them.
The Honourable Member for Longueuil-Saint-Hubert. Mr. Speaker, yesterday the member for Westmount said about Bill C-13 and the French language, he said it would be a real mistake for us as federal MPs to give Quebec free rein to do whatever it wants about language in Quebec. Mr. Speaker, he's openly saying that we need to stop Quebec from protecting French. And indeed, the effect of C-13 is to prevent Quebec from imposing the charter of the French language in federally regulated businesses. Why is the Prime Minister protecting English in Quebec when it's French that is actually threatened? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are the first federal government to recognize that we have a responsibility to protect French throughout Canada, including in Quebec. Protecting French throughout Canada is one of our responsibilities, and that is why we are bringing forward measures in C-13 that will ensure that federally regulated businesses, not only in Quebec, but throughout the country, promote the use of French. Because that's a way of ensuring that we remain a country where French is proudly spoken throughout. The Honourable Member for Longueuil-Saint-Hubert. Mr. Speaker, let's review what happened. First of all, Quebec tabled Bill 96 to impose the charter of the French language on federally regulated businesses, and then just suddenly, as though by chance, the federal government decided to quickly table an official language reform, Bill C-13. No, it's not by chance. If we listen to what Liberals were saying at committee yesterday, C-13 is a reaction which aims to prevent Quebec from making French the only language in the workplace. Why does the Prime Minister refuse to accept a Quebec where everyone works in the only common language of Quebec, French? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, for many years we have recognized that one of the federal government's responsibilities is to participate in protecting the French language in Quebec. Yes, the Quebec government also has a role to play, but the federal government as well. We will always respect provincial jurisdiction. That's why, when it comes to federally regulated businesses under federal jurisdiction, we will ensure that we respect the principle of French spoken in Quebec and also in other communities where French is spoken throughout the country. That's a way of protecting French throughout the country, and we're proud of it.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Our hospitals are overflowing. Children's hospitals being the worst case. I've seen it myself, taking my daughter to an emergency room, waiting with other small kids while there's a shortage. But ironically, we have the doctors. In fact, we bring in thousands of immigrant doctors to this country every single year, but only 41% of them are able to practice in this country. Only 36% of immigrant nurses have the license to practice. The federal government could encourage provinces to speed up recognition of foreign credentials, as we successfully did under the previous government. Mr. Speaker, why has this Prime Minister failed so miserably at doing so?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to encouraging the provinces to make improvements in healthcare, we're doing more than just encouraging them. We're saying that we will flow significantly more money to the healthcare systems across the country if they can ensure better results for Canadians, if they can ensure better outcomes, if they can ensure that Health Human Resources take advantage of the thousands of people who come from around the world wanting to work and build a better life in this country, including in our medical system. Mr. Speaker, we are serious about improving results for Canadians from healthcare systems across the country, and that's what we're standing firm on with the provinces.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He's had 7 years to get results, and he's gotten none. Now, all he can do is brag about how much money he spends without actually achieving real outcomes. Meanwhile, immigrants are forced to work in low-wage jobs, even though they're qualified to serve as doctors and nurses in high-paid positions in desperately needed places within our medical system. Less than half of nurses and doctors from abroad actually get a chance to work. The Prime Minister could make it possible by facilitating future immigrants preparing for credentialing before they even get here, providing small study loans for them to get them, and to get the province to speed up the recognition of credentials. Why won't he?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to getting provinces to speed up the recognition of credentials, I will highlight that it is an NDP government in British Columbia that has just taken significant measures to do that. And if the member opposite thinks he can convince his fellow Conservatives who happen to be premiers of provinces to accelerate those processes, it would be a welcome change from the kind of obstructionism and two-tier health care that the Conservatives continue to push. We're going to continue to stand with Canadians to ensure that we're improving and increasing opportunities for Canadians to get good health care and opportunities for new arrivals to work in the industries in which they are trained.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, there are now reports of Beijing-controlled police stations on Canadian soil. This, of course, would be a violation of international law. It is illegal for a foreign government to open a law enforcement office in another country without permission. And the last we checked, there is no permission for that to happen. So the question of the Prime Minister is very simple. How many diplomats from Beijing involved in these police stations has he ordered expelled from Canada? How many?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Foreign actors attempting to monitor, intimidate, or threaten Canadians, is completely unacceptable. The allegations detailed are concerning, which is why we will never tolerate threats to Canada's national security or to the safety of our citizens and residents. The RCMP have announced that they are investigating these allegations, and I've asked officials to examine them very, very carefully. We will continue to work closely with our allies around the world to respond to illegal and unacceptable behavior by authoritarian states like China.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
La question était combien?
The question was how many. There are reports of police stations here in Canada working for a foreign state. That's illegal. It's not legal for a foreign government to have police stations here in Canada. The Prime Minister has been aware of this situation for at least a month. At least. Once again, the question, how many diplomats have been expelled from Canada since the Prime Minister learned of the existence of these stations? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the details of these allegations of interference are concerning. We will never tolerate Canada's national security being threatened or the security of our residents and citizens. The RCMP has announced that it will be carrying out an investigation on these allegations. And I am asking those responsible to follow up.
Chinese-Canadian community is all too often the victim of foreign interference by China, and we need to emphasize that Chinese Canadians continue to deliver extraordinary benefits to Canadians as proud Canadian citizens, and we will continue to stand with this community that is victims of interference rather than perpetrators as.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
We are in a healthcare crisis right now, a pediatric healthcare crisis, and the Prime Minister promised $3.2 billion to hire 7,500 new doctors and nurses. That was a promise that he could keep and which would fix the crisis. So where is that money? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we have made commitments to ensure that Canadians have access to family doctors, and we will keep those commitments. We have money to invest in healthcare systems across the country, but we need for the provinces to make commitments and for the provinces to show that they are going to deliver the results that Canadians are waiting for. It's been too long now that people have been waiting too long in emergency rooms, that they're waiting for care, that they're waiting to just get access to a family doctor. We need to see results, and that is why that we are here with the money when there will be results ready. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South. The Prime Minister is running away from his responsibilities and from his promises. Here's another promise. The Prime Minister promised $4.5 billion to establish a Canadian mental health transfer. So once again, it's a simple question. Where's the money? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I am very happy that my colleague from the NDP is highlighting that yes, we are ready to make these investments in the healthcare system, but Canadians know very well that we can't just write a blank check to the provinces. We need to see results. We need to see improvements in services for Canadians, for families, for people who need it. And that's why we are currently working with the health ministers from across the country to make sure that real results will be delivered for Canadian families. The Honourable Member for London West.
Speaker, my constituents in London West and all Canadians have been through a lot this year. Whether it was from the pandemic to global inflation, from devastating effects of climate change to growing uncertainty on the world stage, Canadians are looking for their government for both stability and solution. So as we approach this holiday season, can the Prime Minister inform the steps that the government is taking to ensure that we have an economy that works for everyone in Canada? Thank you.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for London West for her question and her hard work on behalf of her constituents. I know that she will be pleased to welcome another strong advocate to the Ontario caucus in the newly elected Liberal member for Mississauga Lakeshore. Together, this government will continue to deliver results by putting more money money back in the pockets of Canadians who need it most. People in Mississauga and across Canada reject the Conservative leader's reckless proposal to opt out of inflation with cryptocurrencies and are instead opting into the government's plan to make life more affordable, to make our communities safer, and protect our environment.
The honourable member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington.
We have warned Canadians about the government's medical assistance in dying legislation. Bottom line, Mr. Speaker, literally life or death legislation deserves thorough review. Mr. Speaker, we must ensure vulnerable people are protected. It is very disappointing to see that this Liberal government is offering state-sanctioned suicide to our military heroes instead of providing them with the care that they need. This is so wrong on so many levels. Mr. Speaker, will this Prime Minister please press pause on this deeply flawed legislation?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Medical assistance in dying is a deeply personal and complex choice that touches people and families at an extremely difficult time in their lives. Since day one, our focus has been on creating a framework that has strong safeguards, that protects the most vulnerable, and remains compassionate. We will continue to make that our focus at every step, and we'll continue to work closely with provinces, territories, medical experts, and indeed all parliamentarians as we move forward on this process.
The honourable member for Chilliwack Hope.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the safeguards simply aren't working. In too many cases, vulnerable Canadians, including injured veterans and persons with disabilities, are being offered assisted suicide instead of the supports that they want and need from the system. The heads of psychiatry at all of Canada's 17 medical schools have called for a delay to the Liberals' deeply flawed MAID legislation that will expand eligibility to those with mental disorders in March of next year. So will the Prime Minister finally listen to the experts, finally listen to vulnerable Canadians, and press pause on this deeply flawed MAID expansion?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the safety and security of our most vulnerable must remain at the forefront of our considerations. We need to be careful and thoughtful in our approach at every step. That's why we're continuing to work with experts, including those at the front lines and those with lived experience, working with all parliamentarians, working with provinces and territories to ensure that there is a strong framework in place.
The honourable member for Kildonan St. Paul.
Mr. Speaker, in 2015, a Toronto man shot and killed his friend. He spent only 5 years in jail. Then he was charged in 2021 with another shooting, and while out on bail for that, he has now been charged for running a massive gun smuggling ring of the very guns that are being used by criminals like him to terrorize people in Toronto and Montreal and Vancouver and Winnipeg. This is what's going on in our cities, Mr. Speaker. Clearly gangs are the problem, so why is the Prime Minister going after hunters?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, after the previous Conservative government cut about $1 billion from law enforcement and border agencies, we've stepped up on ensuring that our enforcement agencies have the tools they need. We've also invested massively in community safety programs, in support for young people, and yes, moving forward on gun control to make sure there's a freeze on the market for handguns and that we're banning assault-style weapons. This is something we're going to continue to work on. We will continue to work with law-abiding hunters and fishers to ensure that the right guns are banned, but we make sure that we are doing the right thing for all Canadians.
The honourable member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister and the leader of the Bloc Québécois are completely disconnected from the reality when it comes to keeping Quebecers safe. They, together, are targeting the people who respect laws while allowing criminals to wander freely in our communities. With the support of the Bloc, the passage of Bill C-5 this week allowed a criminal to avoid prison despite the fact that he had been arrested with 2 loaded handguns. Bill C-21, which is also supported by the Bloc, is also attacking Quebecers and hunters. Why are these leaders so disconnected? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, what we're seeing right now and what we've seen in recent years is that step by step, the so-called anti-crime bills moved forward by the previous Conservative government have been taken out of the criminal code, have been struck down by the courts because they didn't work. Now, obviously, a law that can't hold up in court isn't going to work to protect people. And that's why we are moving forward, respecting our justice system, respecting our judges, and by making sure that we are truly protecting Canadians with laws that'll hold up. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, Roxham Road is breaking records. By the end of the year, 40,000 asylum seekers will have probably gone through. That's why Quebec's Minister of Immigration, Christine Fréchette, is asking the federal government to pay to support asylum seekers while they are learning French. It's a good idea. It's as compassionate as it is productive, and it will help support them during the months where they're waiting for a work permit from Ottawa. Since the Prime Minister is responsible for Roxham Road, will he pay to help asylum seekers learn French while they're waiting to be able to work? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, since the beginning of this situation, we have been there to invest and to work in partnership to help Quebec continue to be generous, as Quebecers have always been, and to help welcome asylum seekers. We recognize that this is a heavy burden for the government of Quebec, so we are there to support them. When it comes to learning French, I want to note that we're sending over $700 million a year to the government of Quebec for French language programs, and we will continue to be there to make sure that in Quebec we continue to protect the French language. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister says that he wants to see Quebec welcome 112,000 new arrivals every year, that's 112,000 plus the 40,000 who come in from Roxham Road. So while he's asking Quebec to welcome 152,000 new people each year, are there more investments in French language? Well, no. Will there be increases in healthcare? No. In a housing crisis, is there new money to help deal with the rising population? Once again, no. Mr. Speaker, does the Prime Minister know that immigration is real people, not just a number that's plucked out of thin air? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, as I've just said, every year we send over $700 million to the government of Quebec for programs to promote learning the French language. And if they need more, they just have to ask. Because we believe in protecting the French language. We believe in French language learning for new immigrants, and we want to help. Mr. Speaker, what I've said and what I'll continue to say is that Quebec can set its own levels of immigration. If they want more immigrants, they can certainly welcome more, and we will be there to work with them to make sure that we meet the labor shortage.
Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes.
Another day, another Liberal minister found guilty of breaking ethics laws. This time it's the International Trade Minister who, through a shady deal, gave tens of thousands of dollars to her BFF, CBC pundit Amanda Alvaro. The history with this pair goes back to when they worked for the corrupt Ontario McGuinty Liberals. Now, old habits might die hard for these two, but Canadians deserve better. Is the reason that this Prime Minister won't fire his minister because he'd be holding her to a higher standard than he holds himself?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Obviously, we respect the work of the Commissioner and the work that the office does. The Minister has taken full responsibility and apologized.
For Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes.
Full responsibility isn't a forced apology and crocodile tears. It is a resignation, and that's what Canadians expect from members of the King's Privy Council. It was fine for Art Eggleton when he gave tens of thousands of dollars to an old girlfriend. He knew that he had to resign. What we don't know is why there's a different set of rules for this Prime Minister and for this minister. So will this Prime Minister finally do the right thing, show Canadians that there are actions that they need to be held accountable for, and fire this minister today?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the Minister has taken full responsibility and apologized.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Well, Mr. Speaker, the Liberals are never short of scandals, are they? The We Charity and the SNC-Lavalin scandal, among others, obviously. The most recent ethics violation is from the Minister of International Trade, who gave 2 contracts to her very close friend, Amanda Alvaro. Apologies are not enough when we know that Canadians are suffering from inflation, and the Liberals, at the same time, are making their friends richer on the backs of taxpayers. So it's pretty simple. The minister must resign. Will she resign herself, or is the Prime Minister going to have to make sure she resigns. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we respect the work done by the Commissioner and the work of his office. The Minister has taken full responsibility and apologized. The Honourable Member for Madawaska-Restigouche. Mr. Speaker, since the launch of our detailed emissions reduction plan for 2030 with COP27 in Egypt and the organization of COP15 in Montreal, our government continues to work hard when it comes to fighting climate change. Can the Prime Minister please inform this House of the progress that Canada is making in fighting climate change? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my honourable colleague from Madawaska-Restigouche for his question and for his hard work in his riding. We're taking concrete measures to deal with the double crisis of the loss of biodiversity and climate change. This year, we launched the first national adaptation strategy for Canada. We've announced with 38 other countries that we will be ending by the end of the year all new support to the international fossil fuel sector without work being done to reduce emissions. We will continue to take ambitious measures to build a healthier future for all.
Member for Foothills.
The Liberals have found the solution to record-high food inflation. Wipe the stats away from existence. We have record-high inflation, 40-year high. Food prices are up 11%, and more than half of Canadian families are worried about their ability to put food on the table. The Liberal solution? Erase more than 25 years of historical food inflation data from the StatsCan website. So for a Liberal government that pretends to make decisions based on science and data, the Liberal government has erased 25 years of vital inflation information from the website. Why?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we will take no lessons on data from the former Conservative government that tried to cancel the long-form census because they didn't want decisions to be based on facts and data. Mr. Speaker, we will follow up. These are troubling allegations. We will ensure that data remains accessible to Canadians every step of the way. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are facing tough times right now, but the times would be even tougher if they'd followed the advice of the leader of the official opposition when he said to opt out of inflation, buy cryptocurrencies. They would have lost half their life savings. That's not responsible leadership, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Foothills.
They're not allegations. The Liberals are covering up their inflation record by erasing 25 years of vital food inflation data from the StatsCan website. The Prime Minister cannot hide from those facts. The facts are tripling the carbon tax will cost a typical Canadian farmer $150,000 a year. The facts are research has already said eliminating this data is making the research harder, and they no longer believe or trust the numbers coming from the Liberal government. Those are the facts. The Prime Minister can't hide from them. Why is he trying to cover up his inflation record by eliminating data from the StatsCan website?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, obviously these are concerning allegations and we will be following up on them because we are the government that restored long-form census. We are the government that bases policy on data and evidence, and we will continue to. But talking about evidence and facts, Mr. Speaker, it's important for Conservatives to stop misleading Canadians.
I'm sorry, but I mean, the odd cackle coming out or the odd heckle coming out is one thing, but when you're trying to drown someone out, that's really not polite and it's not parliamentary. If I can ask the Right Honourable Prime Minister, start from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, obviously these allegations are concerning and we will be following up on them. But, Mr. Speaker, from the Conservative Party that continually waged war on facts when it was in government by eliminating the long-form census and not being transparent with Canadians, to continuing to try and mislead Canadians on the price on pollution that actually puts more money back in the pockets of hardworking Canadians every single year, actually 4 times a year now, because it's a way of both fighting climate change and protecting families' balance books. These are important things to continue to do.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-l'Érable. Mr. Speaker, we learned today that the Prime Minister is sharing power with the NDP. And it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Whichever leader that the costly coalition chooses, the results are going to be the same. billions of dollars in inflationary spending on the backs of Canadians who've never paid so much for their Christmas dinner, the worst inflation in 40 years. And so, Mr. Speaker, in 2023, who is going to be leading this costly coalition? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, when the Conservatives complain that we are investing too much money to help Canadians, we understand that they are once again promoting austerity. Mr. Speaker, we are delivering $1,300 over the next 2 years for families who couldn't pay to send their kids to see the dentist. The Conservatives voted against that measure. $1,300 in the pockets of Canadian families who need it. And, you know, we've already seen tens of thousands of families take advantage of this program because it helps them. It helps them improve the health of their children, and it helps with spending. We are there to help Canadians.
Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country.
Mr. Speaker, in my riding of West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country, many have long struggled with the high cost of housing. More recently, this is extended to the high cost for those that are renting. And that's why it's so important that our government introduced a top-up payment to the Canada Housing Benefit of $500, which passed in the House last month. Can the Prime Minister please tell us about when folks can expect to receive this benefit?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague from West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country for his question and his hard work for his constituents. We know that higher rental costs are impacting so many Canadians across the country. That's why we brought in a $500 top-up to the Canada Housing Benefit, which will help almost 2 million Canadians who need it most. Just recently, I had the pleasure to announce that applications for the payment are now open, and I encourage those eligible to apply. Our government will always have the backs of Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday family members and Indigenous leaders wrote an urgent request to ministers. They are asking this government to provide resources for searches of the Prairie Green and Brady landfills to find the remains of loved ones, and to invite the UN Special Rapporteur on the rights of Indigenous peoples to oversee the searches after the Winnipeg City Police said Indigenous peoples are on their own. The Prime Minister admitted the crisis of murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit people was a genocide. Will he respond to these demands and make federal resources available now?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians' hearts are breaking for the terrible news coming out of Winnipeg on more missing and murdered Indigenous women. This is absolutely unacceptable. We have received the letters from the families. We see the level of pain, and the federal government will look to do whatever we can to support the province, the city, and whoever needs support in terms of giving closure and justice for these families.
The Honourable Member for Kitchener Centre.
Mr. Speaker, in the last election, the Liberals promised a new $4.5 billion mental health transfer to the provinces. To date, they haven't funded a single cent of it. Mental health advocates across the country are calling for these funds. In my community alone, almost 4,000 people are waiting for mental health and addictions care right now. Will the PM follow through on his election promise and fund the mental health transfer in Budget 2023?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we made the commitment to funding mental health supports across the country because we saw and heard clearly from Canadians that more needs to be done, that they need to have better access to mental health supports, whether they're students, whether they're seniors, whether they're working Canadians, whether it's farmers who are facing real challenges. We know that being there for Canadians is essential. That's why we're working with the provinces to make sure they're delivering those mental health resources. And yes, we will be there with funding, and we need to see results and better outcomes for Canadians.
Hear, hear.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have for question period today. C'est tout le temps que nous avons. Conformément. Okay, the Honourable Government House Leader is rising on a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, there have been discussions among the parties, and I believe if you seek it, you will find unanimous consent to adopt the following motion. That notwithstanding any standing order, special order, or usual practice of the House, following the completion of today's routine proceedings, a member from each recognized party and a member from the Green Party may make a brief statement regarding the end of the sitting, and B, Mr. Speaker, After the statements, the House shall stand adjourned until Monday, January 30th, 2023, provided that for the purpose of any standing order, it shall be deemed to have been adjourned pursuant to Standing Order 28 and be deemed to have sat on Thursday, December 15th and Friday, December 16th, 2022. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All those opposed to the honourable member moving the motion will please say nay. Agreed? The House has heard the terms of the motion. All those opposed to the motion will please say nay. Carried. Pursuant to order made on Tuesday, December 13, 2022, the House will now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division on the motion to concur in the second report of the Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and International Development. Convoquez les députés.
Call in the members.
Thank you. La question.
The question is as follows.
Mr. Genuis, seconded by Mr. Scheer, move that the second report of the Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and International Development, presented on Tuesday, May 10th, 2022, be concurred in. La période.
The 10-minute period for members voting electronically has started, and the House will now proceed to the vote for members participating in person.
All those in favour of the motion will please rise.
Mr. Scheer.
Mr. Scheer.
Mr. Bazan.
Mr. Bazan.
Mr. Hallan.
Mr. Hallan.
Ms. Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Ms. Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Mr. Strahl.
Mr. Strahl.
Ms. Dancho.
Ms. Dancho.
Mr. Barlow.
Mr. Barlow.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Mr. Mazer.
Mr. Mazer.
Mr. Jennis.
Mr. Jennis.
Mr. Richards.
Mr. Richards.
Mr. Small.
Mr. Small.
Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Stewart.
Mr. Stewart.
Mr. Berthold.
Mr. Berthold.
Mr. Workington.
Mr. Workington.
Ms. Finley.
Ms. Finley.
Mr. Abutev.
Mr. Abutev.
Mr. Chong.
Mr. Chong.
Mrs. Gray.
Mrs. Gray.
Mr. Barrett.
Mr. Barrett.
Mr. Schmale.
Mr. Schmale.
Mr. Perkins.
Mr. Perkins.
Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. Calkins.
Mr. Calkins.
Mr. Lloyd.
Mr. Lloyd.
Ms. Rude.
Ms. Rude.
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Martel.
Mr. Martel.
Mr. Godin.
Mr. Godin.
Mr. Generou.
Mr. General.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mrs. Goodridge.
Mrs. Goodrich.
Ms. Ferreri.
Ms. Ferrari.
Mrs. Vecchio.
Mrs. Vecchio.
Mr. Chambers.
Mr. Chambers.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Lobb.
Mr. Lobb.
Mr. Allison.
Mr. Allison.
Mr. Reed.
Mr. Reed.
Mr. McLean.
Mr. McLean.
Mrs. Gallant.
Mrs. Gallant.
Mr. Waugh.
Mr. Waugh.
Mr. Steinley.
Mr. Steinley.
Mr. Lawrence.
Mr. Lawrence.
Mrs. Cramp-Nyman.
Mrs. Cramp-Nyman.
Monsieur Lehoux.
Mr. Lehoux.
Monsieur Généreux.
Mr. Généreux.
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Zimmer.
Mr. Zimmer.
Mr. Gould.
Mr. Gould.
Mr. Caputo.
Mr. Caputo.
Mr. Arnold.
Mr. Arnold.
Mr. Brassard.
Mr. Brassard.
Mr. Williamson.
Mr. Williamson.
Mr. McGuire.
McGuire.
Mr. Cram.
Mr. Cram.
Mr. Dreeshen.
Mr. Dreeshen.
Mr. Couric.
Mr. Couric.
Mr. Albus.
Mr. Albus.
Mr. Tolmie.
Mr. Tolmie.
Mr. Muse.
Mr. Muse.
Mr. Carey.
Mr. Carey.
Mr. Brock.
Mr. Brock.
Mr. Shipley.
Mr. Shipley.
Mr. Redikoff.
Mr. Redikoff.
Mr. Morantz.
Mr. Morantz.
Mr. Macaulay Edmonton West.
Mr. Macaulay Edmonton West.
Mr. Dowdle.
Mr. Dowdle.
Mr. Bragdon.
Mr. Bragdon.
Mr. Epp.
Mr. Epp.
Mr. Motz.
Mr. Motz.
Mr. Weber.
Mr. Weber.
Mrs. Wagenthal.
Mrs. Wagenthal.
Mr. Vierson.
Mr. Vierson.
Mr. Ruff.
Mr. Ruff.
Mr. Shields.
Mr. Shields.
Mr. Fast.
Mr. Fast.
Mr. Morrison.
Mr. Morrison.
Mr. Patzer.
Mr. Patzer.
Mr. Soroka.
Mr. Soroka.
Monsieur Terrien.
Monsieur Terrien.
Monsieur Sainte-Marie.
Monsieur Sainte-Marie.
Madame Normandin.
Madame Normandin.
Monsieur Simard.
Monsieur Simard.
Monsieur Bergeron.
Monsieur Bergeron.
Monsieur Garon.
Monsieur Garon.
Madame Gill.
Madame Gill.
Madame de Bellefeuille.
Madame de Bellefeuille.
Madame Michaud.
Madame Michaud.
Monsieur Fortin.
Monsieur Fortin.
Monsieur Brunel Duceppe.
Monsieur Brunel Duceppe.
Monsieur Thériault.
Monsieur Thériault.
Monsieur Villemur.
Monsieur Villemur.
Madame Larouche.
Madame Larouche.
Monsieur Perron.
Monsieur Perron.
Monsieur Plamondon.
Monsieur Plamondon.
Madame Vignola.
Madame Vignola.
Monsieur Savard-Tremblay.
Monsieur Savard-Tremblay.
Monsieur Champoux.
Monsieur Champoux.
Monsieur Lemire.
Monsieur Lemire.
Madame Saint-Clair-Desgagnés.
Madame Saint-Clair-Desgagnés.
Monsieur Trudel.
Monsieur Trudel.
Madame Desbiens.
Madame Desbiens.
Monsieur Blanchette-Jonca.
Monsieur Blanchette-Jonca.
Madame Bérubé.
Madame Bérubé.
Mr. Singh.
Mr. Singh.
Mr. Canning.
Mr. Canning.
Mr. Julian.
Mr. Julian.
Ms. Kwan.
Ms. Kwan.
Mr. Garrison.
Mr. Garrison.
Ms. Blaney.
Ms. Blaney.
Ms. Edlout.
Ms. Idlout.
Mr. McGregor.
Mr. McGregor.
Ms. Gazan.
Ms. Gazan.
Ms. Barron.
Ms. Barron.
Mr. Backrack.
Mr. Backrack.
Madame Hughes.
Madame Hughes.
Ms. Zarillo.
Ms. Zarillo.
Mr. Angus.
Mr. Angus.
Ms. Matheson.
Ms. Matheson.
Mr. Desjarlais.
Mr. Desjarlais.
Ms. McPherson.
McPherson.
Mr. Morris.
Mr. Morris.
Mr. Holland.
Mr. Holland.
Mr. Macaulay Cardigan.
Mr. Macaulay Cardigan.
Mr. O'Regan.
Mr. O'Regan.
Ms. Bennett.
Ms. Bennett.
Monsieur Duclos.
Monsieur Duclos.
Ms. Qualtrough.
Ms. Qualtrough.
Monsieur Rodriguez.
Monsieur Rodriguez.
Monsieur Leblanc.
Monsieur Blanc.
Ms. Anand.
Ms. Anand.
Ms. Tassi.
Ms. Tassi.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Monsieur Serré.
Monsieur Serré.
Ms. Jasic.
Ms. Jasic.
Mr. McKay.
Mr. McKay.
Mr. Scarpalegia.
Mr. Scarpalegia.
Madame Saint-Onge.
Madame Saint-Onge.
Ms. Cara.
Ms. Cara.
Monsieur Vandal.
Monsieur Vandal.
Madame Fortier.
Madame Fortier.
Ms. Murray.
Ms. Murray.
Ms. Gould.
Ms. Gould.
Monsieur McKinnon-Gatineau.
McKinnon-Gatineau.
Ms. Ing.
Ms. Ing.
Ms. Haidu.
Ms. Haidu.
Madame Le Boutillier.
Madame Le Boutillier.
Madame Bibot.
Madame Bibot.
Mr. Housefather.
Mr. Housefather.
Mr. Casey.
Mr. Casey.
Monsieur Dubourg.
Monsieur Dubourg.
Monsieur Arsenault.
Monsieur Arsenault.
Ms. Vandenbeld.
Ms. Vandenbeld.
Monsieur Sanson.
Monsieur Sanson.
Madame Brière.
Madame Brière.
Mr. Biddle.
Mr. Biddle.
Mr. Fillmore.
Mr. Fillmore.
Mr. Garrettson.
Mr. Garrettson.
Mrs. Romanato.
Mrs. Romanato.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Ms. Sahota.
Mr. Sahota.
Mr. Varani.
Mr. Varani.
Mr. Fergus.
Mr. Fergus.
Mr. Oliphant.
Mr. Oliphant.
Mr. Ananda Sangari.
Mr. Ananda Sangari.
Madame Koutrakis.
Madame Koutrakis.
Mr. Dogood.
Mr. Dogood.
Monsieur Lauzon.
Monsieur Lauzon.
Madame Lalonde.
Madame Lalonde.
Ms. Dillon.
Ms. Dillon.
Monsieur Elkoury.
Mr. Elkoury.
Mr. Fonseca.
Mr. Fonseca.
Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Yacono.
Mr. Yacono.
Mr. Vancouverden.
Vancouverden.
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Kuzmerchek.
Kuzmarachek.
Ms. O'Connell.
O'Connell.
Ms. Sachs.
Ms. Sachs.
Mr. Beach.
Mr. Beach.
Mr. May Cambridge.
Mr. May Cambridge.
Mr. Sidhu Brampton East.
Mr. Cedar Brampton East.
Ms. Suds.
Ms. Suds.
Mr. Badaway.
Mr. Badaway.
Mr. Baptiste.
Mr. Baptiste.
Ms. Zerowitz.
Ms. Zerowitz.
Mr. Fragiscatos.
Mr. Fragascatos.
Mr. Chang.
Mr. Chang.
Madame Martinez Farada.
Madame Martinez Farada.
Mr. Johari.
Mr. Johari.
Mr. Long.
Mr. Long.
Mr. Longfield.
Mr. Longfield.
Mr. Maloney.
Mr. Maloney.
Mr. McKinnon Coquitlam Port Coquitlam.
McKinnon, Coquitlam, Coquitlam.
Mr. McLeod.
McLeod.
Mr. Morrissey.
Mr. Morrissey.
Monsieur Robillard.
Mr. Robillard.
Mr. Sarai.
Mr. Rai.
Monsieur Shifke.
Mr. Shifke.
Madame Shanahan.
Madame Shanahan.
Ms. Sidhu Brampton South.
Ms. Sidhu Brampton South.
Mr. Cerbera.
Mr. Cerbera.
Mrs. Zaid.
Mrs. Zaid.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Ms. Yip.
Ms. Yip.
Mr. Aldag.
Mr. Aldag.
Mrs. Atwin.
Mrs. Atwin.
Mr. Baker.
Mr. Baker.
Mr. Dong.
Mr. Dong.
Ms. Latanzio.
Latanzio.
Mr. Lewis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Lewis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Pulowski.
Mr. Pulowski.
Mr. Turnbull.
Mr. Turnbull.
Madame Mendez.
Madame Mendez.
Mr. Van Bynen.
Van Dynen.
Mr. Weiler.
Mr. Weiler.
Monsieur Zuberi.
Mr. Zuberi.
Mr. Ali.
Mr. Ali.
Ms. Bradford.
Bradford.
Mr. Chahal.
Mr. Chahal.
Madame Diab.
Madame Diab.
Mr. Gahir.
Mr. Gahir.
Mr. Hanley.
Mr. Hanley.
Ms. Hefner.
Ms. Hefner.
Ms. Kayabaga.
Karabaga.
Madame Lapointe.
Madame Lapointe.
Mr. McDonald Malpeck.
Mr. McDonald Malpeck.
Mr. Meow.
Mr. Meow.
Ms. Thompson.
Ms. Thompson.
Mrs. Valdez.
Ms. Valdez.
Que tous ceux qui s'opposent à la motion veuillent bien se lever. The House will now wait for the electronic voting period to end before resuming proceedings.
I wish to inform the House that the electronic voting period has ended.
Members were not able to vote due to technical difficulties. They may now use the raise hand function and the chair will recognize them. Seeing none, le bureau va maintenant...
The table will now compile the results of the vote.
Yeas pour 324, 324. Nays contre, nil aucun.
I declare the motion carried.
Pursuant to order made on Thursday, June 23, 2022, the House will now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division on the motion at the third reading stage of Bill C-18.
La question is as follows. Monsieur Rodriguez.
Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Ms. Saintonge, moved that Bill C-18, an act respecting online communications platforms that make news content available to persons in Canada be now read a third time and do pass.
A period for members voting electronically has started, and the House will now proceed to the vote for members participating in person. Que tous ceux qui appuient la motion.
All those in favor of the motion will please rise.
Mr. Holland.
Mr. Macaulay Cardigan.
Macaulay Cardigan.
Mr. O'Regan.
Mr. O'Regan.
Ms. Bennett.
Ms. Bennett.
Ms. Qualtrough.
Ms. Qualtrough.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Mr. LeBlanc.
Mr. LeBlanc.
Ms. Anand.
Ms. Anand.
Ms. Tassi.
Ms. Tassi.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Mr. Serre.
Mr. Serre.
Ms. Jacek.
Ms. Jacek.
Mr. McKay.
Mr. McKay.
Mr. Scarpellegia.
Mr. Scarpellegia.
Madame Saintonge.
Madame Saintonge.
Ms. Cara.
Ms. Cara.
Mr. Vandal.
Mr. Vandal.
Madame Fortier.
Madame Fortier.
Ms. Murray.
Ms. Murray.
Ms. Gould.
Ms. Gould.
Mr. McKinnon-Gatineau.
McKinnon-Gatineau.
Ms. Ing.
Ms. Ing.
Ms. Haidu.
Ms. Haidu.
Madame Le Boutillier.
Madame Le Boutillier.
Madame Bibot.
Madame Bibot.
Mr. Housefather.
Mr. Housefather.
Mr. Casey.
Mr. Casey.
Monsieur Dubourg.
Monsieur Dubourg.
Mr. Arsenault.
Mr. Arsenault.
Ms. Vandenbeld.
Ms. Vandenbeld.
Mr. Sanson.
Mr. Sanson.
Madame Brière.
Madame Brière.
Mr. Biddle.
Mr. Biddle.
Mr. Fillmore.
Mr. Fillmore.
Mr. Gerritsen.
Mr. Gerritsen.
Mrs. Romanato.
Mrs. Romanato.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Ms. Sahota.
Mr. Sahota.
Mr. Varani.
Varani.
Mr. Fergus.
Mr. Fergus.
Mr. Oliphant.
Mr. Oliphant.
Mr. Hernandez Sangari.
Mr. Hernandez Sangari.
Madame Koutrakis.
Madame Koutrakis.
Mr. Dogood.
Mr. Dogood.
Mr. Lozon.
Mr. Lozon.
Madame Lalonde.
Madame Lalonde.
Ms. Dillon.
Dillon.
Mr. El Khoury.
Mr. El Khoury.
Mr. Fonseca.
Mr. Fonseca.
Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Yakino.
Mr. Yakino.
Mr. Vancouverden.
Vancouverden.
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Kuzmaracek.
Mr. Kuzmaracek.
Ms. O'Connell.
Ms. O'Connell.
Ms. Sachs.
Ms. Sachs.
Mr. Beach.
Mr. Beach.
Mr. May Cambridge.
Mr. May Cambridge.
Mr. Sidhu Brampton East.
Mr. Sidhu Brampton East.
Ms. Suds.
Ms. Suds.
Mr. Badaway.
Mr. Badaway.
Mr. Baptiste.
Mr. Baptiste.
Ms. Zerowitz.
Ms. Zerowitz.
Mr. Fragiscatos.
Mr. Fragiscatos.
Mr. Chang.
Mr. Chang.
Madame Martinez Ferrara.
Madame Martinez Ferrara.
Mr. Johari.
Mr. Johari.
Mr. Long.
Mr. Long.
Mr. Longfield. Mr. Maloney.
Maloney.
Mr. McLeod. Mr. Mr. McKinnon Coquitlam for Coquitlam.
Mr. McKinnon Coquitlam for Coquitlam.
Mr. McLeod.
Mr. McLeod.
Mr. Morrissey.
Mr. Morrissey.
Mr. Rabia.
Mr. Rabia.
Mr. Sarai.
Sarai.
Mr. Shifke.
Shifke.
Madam Shanahan.
Shanahan.
Ms. Sidhu Brampton South.
Ms. Sidhu Brampton South.
Mr. Sorbera.
Mr. Sorbera.
Mrs. Zaid.
Zaid.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Ms. Yip.
Ms. Yip.
Mr. Aldag.
Mr. Aldag.
Mrs. Atwin.
Atwin.
Mr. Baker.
Mr. Baker.
Mr. Blois. Mr. Dong.
Mr. Dong.
Ms. Latanzio.
Ms. Latanzio.
Mr. Lewis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Lewis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Pulowski.
Pulowski.
Mr. Turnbull.
Turnbull.
Madame Mendez.
Mendez.
Mr. Van Bynen.
Van Bynen.
Mr. Zuberi.
Mr. Zuberi.
Mr. Ali.
Mr. Ali.
Ms. Bradford.
Bradford.
Mr. Chahal.
Chahal.
Mr. Koto.
Mr. Koto.
Madame Diab.
Madame Diab.
Mr. Gahir.
Mr. Gahir.
Mr. Hanley.
Mr. Hanley.
Ms. Hefner.
Hefner.
Ms. Kayabaga.
Ms. Kayabaga.
Madame Lapointe.
Madame Lapointe.
Mr. McDonald Malpeck.
Mr. McDonald Malpeck.
Mr. Miao.
Mr. Miao.
Ms. Thompson.
Thompson.
Mrs. Valdez.
Valdez.
Monsieur Terrien.
Monsieur Terrien.
Monsieur Sainte-Marie.
Monsieur Sainte-Marie.
Madame Normandin.
Madame Normandin.
Monsieur Simard.
Monsieur Simard.
Monsieur Bergeron.
Monsieur Bergeron.
Monsieur Garon.
Monsieur Garon.
Madame Gill.
Madame Gill.
Madame de Bellefeuille.
Madame de Bellefeuille.
Madame Michaud.
Madame Michaud.
Monsieur Fortin.
Monsieur Fortin.
Monsieur Brunel Duceppe.
Monsieur Brunel Duceppe.
Monsieur Thériault.
Monsieur Thériault.
Monsieur Villemur.
Monsieur Villemur.
Madame Larouche.
Madame Larouche.
Monsieur Perron.
Monsieur Perron.
Monsieur Plamondon.
Monsieur Plamondon.
Madame Vignola.
Madame Vignola.
Monsieur Savard-Tremblay.
Monsieur Savard-Tremblay.
Monsieur Champoux.
Monsieur Champoux.
Monsieur Lemire.
Monsieur Lemire.
Madame Saint-Clair-Desgagnés.
Madame Saint-Clair-Desgagnés.
Madame Chabot.
Madame Chabot.
Monsieur Trudel.
Monsieur Trudel.
Monsieur Blanchette-Jonca.
Monsieur Blanchette-Jonca.
Madame Bérubé.
Madame Bérubé.
Retour à Madame Desbiens.
Madame Desbiens.
Mr. Singh.
Mr. Singh.
Mr. Julian.
Mr. Julian.
Mr. Garrison.
Mr. Garrison.
Back to Ms. Kwan.
Ms. Kwan.
Back to Mr. Cannings.
Mr. Cannings.
Ms. Blaney.
Ms. Blaney.
Ms. Idlout.
Ms. Idlout.
Mr. McGregor.
Mr. McGregor.
Ms. Gazan.
Ms. Gazan.
Ms. Barron.
Ms. Barron.
Mr. Backrack.
Mr. Backrack.
Madame Hughes.
Madame Hughes.
Ms. Zarillo.
Ms. Zarillo.
Mr. Angus.
Mr. Angus.
Ms. Matheson.
Ms. Matheson.
Mr. Desjarlais.
Mr. Desjarlais.
Ms. McPherson.
McPherson.
Mr. Morris.
Mr. Morris.
All those opposed to the motion will please rise.
Mr. Scheer.
Mr. Scheer.
Mr. Bazan.
Mr. Bazan.
Mr. Hallan.
Mr. Hallan.
Ms. Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Ms. Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Mr. Strahl.
Mr. Strahl.
Ms. Dancho.
Ms. Dancho.
Mr. Barlow.
Mr. Barlow.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Mr. Mazer.
Mr. Mazer.
Mr. Jennis.
Mr. Jennis.
Mr. Small.
Mr. Small.
Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Stewart.
Mr. Stewart.
Mr. Berthold.
Mr. Berthold.
Mr. Workington.
Mr. Workington.
Ms. Finley.
Ms. Finley.
Mr. Abultaif.
Mr. Abutef.
Mr. Chong.
Mr. Chong.
Mrs. Gray.
Mrs. Gray.
Mr. Barrett.
Mr. Barrett.
Mr. Schmale.
Mr. Schmale.
Mr. Perkins.
Mr. Perkins.
Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. Calkins.
Mr. Calkins.
Mr. Lloyd.
Mr. Lloyd.
Ms. Rood.
Ms. Rood.
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Martel.
Mr. Martel.
Mr. Godin.
Mr. Godin.
Mr. Generou.
Mr. General.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mrs. Goodridge.
Mrs. Goodrich.
Ms. Ferrari.
Ms. Ferrari.
Mrs. Vecchio.
Mrs. Vecchio.
Mr. Chambers.
Mr. Chambers.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Lobb.
Mr. Lobb.
Mr. Allison.
Mr. Allison.
Mr. Reed.
Mr. Reed.
Mr. McLean.
Mr. McLean.
Mrs. Gallant.
Mrs. Gallant.
Mr. Waugh.
Mr. Waugh.
Mr. Steinley.
Steinley.
Mr. Lawrence.
Mr. Lawrence.
Mrs. Cramp-Nyman.
Camp Nyman.
Monsieur Lehoux.
Monsieur Lehoux.
Monsieur Genereux.
Mr. General.
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Zimmer.
Mr. Zimmer.
Monsieur Gould.
Mr. Gould.
Mr. Arnold.
Mr. Arnold.
Monsieur Brassard.
Mr. Brassard.
Mr. Williamson.
Mr. Williamson.
Mr. McGuire.
Mr. McGuire.
Mr. Cram.
Mr. Cram.
Mr. Dreeshen.
Mr. Dreeshen.
Mr. Couric.
Mr. Couric.
Mr. Albus.
Mr. Albus.
Mr. Tolmie.
Mr. Tolmie.
Mr. Muse.
Mr. Muse.
Mr. Carey.
Mr. Carey.
Mr. Brock.
Mr. Brock.
Mr. Shipley.
Mr. Shipley.
Mr. Redicott.
Mr. Redicott.
Mr. Morantz.
Mr. Morantz.
Mr. Macaulay, Edmonton West.
Mr. Macaulay, Edmonton West.
Mr. D'Entremont.
Mr. D'Entremont.
Mr. Dowdle.
Mr. Dowdle.
Mr. Bragdon.
Mr. Bragdon.
Mr. Epp.
Mr. Epp.
Mr. Mott.
Mr. Mott.
Mr. Weber.
Mr. Weber.
Mrs. Wagenthal.
Mrs. Wagenthal.
Mr. Vierson.
Mr. Vierson.
Mr. Ruff.
Mr. Ruff.
Mr. Shields.
Mr. Shields.
Mr. Fast.
Mr. Fast.
Mr. Morrison.
Mr. Morrison.
Mr. Patzer.
Mr. Patzer.
Mr. Soroka.
Mr. Soroka.
The House will now wait for the electronic voting period to end before resuming its proceedings. I wish to inform the House that the electronic voting period has ended.
If members were not able to vote due to technical difficulties, they may now use the raise hand function, and the chair will recognize them.
The table will now compile the results of the vote.
Yeas, pour 213, 213. Nays, contre 114, sans 14.
I declare the motion carried.
All right. Pursuant to order made on Thursday, June 23rd, 2022, the House will now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division on the motion at third reading of Bill S-223 under private members' business. The question is as follows. Mr. Jenna, seconded by Mr. Zuberi, move that Bill S-223, an act to amend the Criminal Code and the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, trafficking in human organs, be now read a third time and do pass. The 10-minute period for members voting electronically has started, and the House will now proceed with the vote.
We will start with the sponsor of the item.
Mr. Jenna. We will now proceed to members participating in person. All those at my left in favor of the motion will please rise.
Mr. Dowdle.
Mr. Dowdle.
Mr. Bragdon.
Mr. Bragdon.
Mr. Epp.
Mr. Epp.
Mr. Motts.
Mr. Mott.
Mr. Weber.
Mr. Weber.
Mrs. Wagenthal.
Mrs. Wagenthal.
Mr. Vierson.
Mr. Vierson.
Mr. Ruff.
Mr. Ruff.
Mr. Shields.
Mr. Shields.
Mr. Morrison.
Mr. Morrison.
Mr. Patzer.
Mr. Patzer.
No, I'm just
Mr.
doing the vote. He's
Soroka.
coming back.
Mr. Soroka.
Blanchette Jonca.
Mr. Blanchette Jonca.
Madame Bérubé.
Madame Derubé.
Madame Hughes.
Madame Hughes.
Ms. Zerillo.
Ms. Zerillo.
All those in the fifth row.
Mr. McGuire.
Mr. McGuire.
Mr. Cram.
Mr. Cram.
Mr. Dreeshen.
Mr. Dreeshen.
Mr. Couric.
Mr. Couric.
Mr. Albus.
Mr. Albus.
Mr. Tolmie.
Mr. Tolmie.
Mr. Muse.
Mr. Muse.
Mr. Carey.
Mr. Carey.
Mr. Brock.
Mr. Brock.
Mr. Shipley.
Mr. Shipley.
Mr. Redicott.
Mr. Redicott.
Mr. Moran.
Mr. Moran.
Mr. Macaulay Edmonton West.
Mr. Macaulay Edmonton West.
Monsieur Lemire.
Mr. Lemire.
Madame Saint-Clair Desgagnés.
Madame Saint-Clair de Jean Gagné.
Madame Chabot.
Madame Chabot.
Monsieur Trudel.
Monsieur Trudel.
Madame Desbiens.
Madame Desbiens.
Ms. Barron.
Ms. Barron.
Mr. Backrack.
Mr. Backrack.
Quatrième rangée.
Fourth row.
Mr. Allison.
Mr. Allison.
Mr. Reed.
Mr. Reed.
Mr. McLean.
Mr. McLean.
Mrs. Gallant.
Mrs. Gallant.
Mr. Waugh.
Mr. Waugh.
Mr. Steinley.
Mr. Steinley.
Mr. Lawrence.
Mr. Lawrence.
Mrs. Cramp-Nyman.
Mrs. Cramp-Nyman.
Monsieur Lehoux.
Monsieur Lehoux.
Monsieur Généreux.
Mr. Généreux.
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Zimmer.
Mr. Zimmer.
Monsieur Gould.
Mr. Gould.
Mr. Caputo.
Mr. Caputo.
Mr. Arnold.
Mr. Arnold.
Mr. Brassard.
Mr. Brassard.
Mr. Williamson.
Mr. Williamson.
Monsieur Plamondon.
Mr. Plamondon.
Madame Vignola.
Madame Vignola.
Monsieur Savard-Tremblay.
Mr. Savant-Tremblay.
Monsieur Champoux.
Mr. Champoux.
Ms. Gazan.
Gazan.
In the third row.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. Calkins.
Mr. Calkins.
Mr. Lloyd.
Mr. Lloyd.
Ms. Rude.
Ms. Rude.
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Martel.
Mr. Martel.
Mr. Godin.
Mr. Godin.
Mr. Genereux.
Mr. Genereux.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mrs. Goodridge.
Mrs. Goodrich.
Ms. Ferrari.
Ferrari.
Mrs. Vecchio.
Mrs. Vecchio.
Mr. Chambers.
Chambers.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Lobb.
Mr. Lobb.
Mr. Thériault.
Monsieur Thériault.
Monsieur Villemur.
Monsieur Villemur.
Madame Larouche.
Madame Larouche.
Monsieur Perron.
Monsieur Perron.
Mr. McGregor.
Mr. McGregor.
La deuxième rangée.
Second row.
Aldinelli.
Mr. Bolden.
Mr. Major.
Mr. Mazer.
Mr. Small.
Mr. Small.
Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Stewart.
Mr. Stewart.
Mr. Berthold.
Mr. Berthold.
Mr. Workington.
Mr. Workington.
Ms. Finley.
Ms. Finley.
Mr. Aboultaif.
Aboutier.
Mr. Chong.
Mr. Chong.
Mrs. Gray.
Mrs. Gray.
Mr. Barrett.
Mr. Barrett.
Mr. Schmale.
Mr. Schmale.
Mr. Perkins.
Mr. Perkins.
Monsieur Garon.
Monsieur Garon.
Madame Gill.
Madame Gill.
Madame de Bellefeuille.
Madame de Bellefeuille.
Madame Michaud.
Et Madame Michaud.
Monsieur Fortin.
Madame Fortin. Monsieur Fortin.
Monsieur Brunel Duceppe.
Monsieur Brunel Duceppe.
Mr. Garrison.
Garrison.
Ms. Blaney.
Blaney.
Ms. Idlout.
All those in the first row.
Mr. Bazan.
Mr. Bazan.
Mr. Shear.
Mr. Shear.
Ms. Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Miss Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Mr. Barlow.
Mr. Barlow.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Moore.
Monsieur Terrien.
Monsieur Terrien.
Retour à Monsieur Sainte-Marie.
Monsieur Sainte-Marie.
Madame Normandin.
Madame Normandin.
Monsieur Simard.
Monsieur Simard.
Monsieur Bergeron.
Monsieur Bergeron.
Mr. Cannings.
Mr. Canning.
Mr. Singh.
Mr. Singh.
Mr. Julian.
Mr. Julian.
Ms. Kwan.
Kwan.
All those at my right in favor of the motion will please rise. In the sixth row.
Madame Mendez.
Madame Mendez.
Mr. Van Bynen.
Van Bynen.
Monsieur Zuberi.
Mr. Zuberi.
Ms. Bradford.
Bradford.
Mr. Chahal.
Mr. Chahal.
Mr. Koto.
Monsieur Couteau.
Madame Diab.
Madame Diab.
Mr. Gahir.
Gahir.
Mr. Hanley.
Mr. Hanley.
Ms. Hepner.
Hepner.
Ms. Kayabaga.
Kayabaga.
Madame Lapointe.
Madame Lapointe.
Mr. McDonald Malpeck.
Mr. McDonald Malpeck.
Mr. Miao.
Mr. Miao.
Ms. Thompson.
Ms. Thompson.
Mrs. Valdez.
Mrs. Valdez.
Cinquième rangée.
Fifth row.
Mr. Long.
Mr. Long.
Mr. Longfield.
Longfield.
Mr. Maloney.
Maloney.
Mr. McKinnon Coquitlam for Coquitlam.
Mr. McKinnon.
Mr. McLeod.
McLeod.
Mr. Morrissey.
Mr. Morrissey.
Monsieur Robillard.
Mr. Robillard.
Mr. Sarai.
Mr. Rye.
Madame Shanahan.
Madame Shanahan.
Ms. Sidhu Brampton South.
Ms. Sidhu Brampton South.
Mr. Sarbera.
Mr. Sarbera.
Mrs. Zaid.
Zaid.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Ms. Yip.
Ms. Yip.
Mr. Aldag.
Mr. Aldag.
Mrs. Atwin.
Mrs. Atwin.
Mr. Baker.
Mr. Baker.
Mr. Dong.
Mr. Dong.
Ms. Latanzio.
Ms. Latanzio.
Mr. Lewis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Lewis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Pulowski.
Mr. Pulowski.
Mr. Turnbull.
Turnbull.
The fourth row.
Mr. El Khoury.
Mr. El Khoury.
Mr. Fonseca.
Fonseca.
Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Yacono.
Mr. Yacono.
Mr. Vancouverden.
Vancouverden.
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Kuzmarchek.
Mr. Kuzmarchek.
Ms. Sachs.
Ms. Sachs.
Mr. Beach.
Mr. Beach.
Mr. May Cambridge.
Mr. May Cambridge.
Mr. Sidhu Brampton East.
Mr. Cedar Brampton East.
Ms. Suds.
Ms. Suds.
Mr. Badaway.
Badaway.
Mr. Baptiste.
Mr. Baptiste.
Ms. Zarowitz.
Ms. Zarowitz.
Mr. Fragiscatos.
Mr. Fagascatos.
Mr. Chang.
Mr. Chang.
Madam Martinez Ferrada.
Martinez Ferrada.
Mr. Johari.
Mr. Johari.
Mr. Morris.
Troisième rangée.
Third row.
Mr. Arsenault.
Mr. Arsenault.
Ms. Vandenveld.
Vanderbilt.
Mr. Sanson.
Mr. Sanson.
Madame Brière.
Madame Brière.
Mr. Biddle.
Mr. Biddle.
Mr. Fillmore.
Mr. Fillmore.
Mrs. Romanato.
Mrs. Romanato.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Ms. Sahota.
Sahota.
Mr. Varani.
Mr. Varani.
Mr. Fergus.
Mr. Fergus.
Mr. Oliphant.
Mr. Oliphant.
Mr. Ananda Sangri.
Mr. Anand Sangari.
Madame Madame Koutrakis.
Madame Koutrakis.
Mr. Duguid.
Mr. Duguid.
Mr. Lozon.
Mr. Lozon.
Madame Lalonde.
Madame Lalonde.
Ms. Dillon.
Dylan.
Deuxième rangée.
Second row.
Mr. Scarpellegia.
Scarpellegia.
Madame Saint-Onge.
Madame Saint-Onge.
Ms. Cara.
Ms. Cara.
Mr. Vandal.
Mr. Vandal.
Madame Fortier.
Madame Fortier.
Ms. Murray.
Ms. Murray.
Ms. Gould.
Ms. Gould.
Mr. McKinnon Gatineau.
Mr. McKinnon Gatineau.
Ms. Ing.
Ms. Ing.
Ms. Haidou.
Ms. Haidu.
Madame Le Boutillier.
Madame Le Boutillier.
Madame Bibot.
Madame Bibot.
Monsieur Serré.
Monsieur Serré.
Mr. Housefather.
Mr. Housefather.
Mr. Casey.
Mr. Casey.
Monsieur Dubourg.
Monsieur Dubourg.
Mr. Desjardins.
Mr. Desjardins.
Miss McPherson.
All those in the first row.
Mr. Macaulay Cardigan.
Macaulay Cardigan.
Mr. O'Regan.
Mr. O'Regan.
Ms. Bennett.
Ms. Bennett.
Monsieur Rodriguez.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Monsieur Leblanc.
Monsieur Leblanc.
Mr. Holland.
Mr. Holland.
Monsieur Champagne.
Mr. Champagne.
Ms. Anand.
Ms. Anand.
Ms. Tassie.
Ms. Tassie.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Petitpas-Taylor.
Monsieur Boissonneau.
Monsieur Boissonneau.
Ms. Jasic.
Ms. Jasic.
Ms. Matheson.
Ms. Matheson.
All those at my left opposed to the motion will please rise. In the 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. All those at my right opposed to the motion will please rise. At the 6th, the 5th, the 4th, the 3rd, the 2nd, and the 1st. The House will now wait for the electronic voting period to end before resuming its proceedings. I wish to inform the House that the electronic voting period has ended. If members were unable to vote due to technical difficulties, I think I'm getting translation on the main channel here. We'll try it again. If members were not able to vote due to technical difficulties, they'll use the raise hand function, and the chair. Just pause for a moment to fix the interpretation here. Gonna take
Just a moment.
All right, we'll try this again. If members were not able to vote due to technical difficulties, they may not use the raise hand function. The chair will recognize them. And press on, because I don't have my screen here either. So, okay. The table will now compile the results of the vote.
Yeas pour 323, 323. Nays called 1-1.
I declare the motion carried.
Order. Order. There have been discussions among the representatives of the parties in the House, and I understand we will now proceed to tributes to our late colleague, the Honourable Jim Carr. I now recognize the Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Monday, we lost Jim Carr. We heard the news a couple of hours later here in the House and held a moment of silence.
This was news that none of us wanted to learn. And it was a news that we weren't expecting. Jim had been fighting multiple myeloma and kidney failure, but he had always had energy and was able to manage many things.
I had stood in this House last week and talked about how much he loved his country. He said, "I love every square meter of this country in English, en français, in indigenous languages, in the languages of the newly arrived." He said this as part of one of his final moments in this House, which were marked by the triumph of passing his private member's bill, the Building a Green Prairie Economy Act. It is an act that's about preserving a way of life in the prairies and unleashing a new potential. An act that makes sure prairie people see themselves represented in national policy. Not just political leaders, but workers' unions, indigenous peoples, farmers, and businesses. An act that seeks to leave behind a healthier environment. It was an act of hope for the future, an act of love for his country. It was also an act of courage. Jim understood that this wouldn't be his future, that it was ours. It was his kids and his grandkids. In October, he told me that he was stopping treatment. It was a private moment in his hometown. Jim knew it was for the best, but he never let up on his commitment to serving Winnipeggers, Western Canadians, and all Canadians, as well as to building a better future.
We all have just one life, and Jim showed us how to live our lives well, how to live our lives with decency, how to live our lives with integrity, how to devote ourselves to the service of others, and how to try to leave this world having made it a better place than when we arrived. We're going to miss Jim in caucus and in cabinet, but beyond everything, his family will miss him.
Jim embodied that unique set of characteristics that distinguish people from the prairies. His clear-headedness, his pragmatism, his decency. Our government will forever be better for it. All the staff that worked for him were drawn in by his warmth, and the members of the public service, too. Jim was a gentleman. He was a mentor. Jim was a friend to many. Jim was a great Canadian. Jim dedicated himself to public service right up until the very end of his life. But Jim lived many lives and distinguished himself in many ways.
Jim played the oboe in the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra and was passionate about music. He was a journalist and attached great weight to the key role that a free press plays in a strong democracy. He had a profound Jewish faith and was a leader in his spiritual community.
Most importantly, he was a husband to Colleen. He was a father to Ben, Rachel, Rebecca, Kiernan, Daniel, and Jesse. A grandfather to Michelle, Sophia, and Markian. To his family, I hope that the gratitude of all Canadians for Jim's service, thoughtfulness, kindness, and generosity up until the very end can comfort you as you grieve. May his memory be a blessing. Merci.
The Honourable Member for Charleswood St. James, Assiniboia Headingley.
I am encouraged, excited, and optimistic about how we can strengthen our federation in ways we have strived to achieve as a nation for decades. These were words from the speech delivered just this year on his private member's bill. Jim was a nation builder and a gentleman, but most of all, Jim was a true mensch. It's not easy for members to get their bills passed around here. It's a rare accomplishment. It's a blessing that Jim lived to see his bill pass this House. His bill was called the Building Green Economy in the Prairies Act. It just passed the House last week. Although it's a rare accomplishment for any MP, for Jim, it was one of many, many great accomplishments in his life. Jim was a husband, a father, a politician, a journalist, and an accomplished musician, an oboist, in fact, who played with the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. He would always greet people with a great big smile, and he was always interested in how we could help them. As a politician, he was first elected to the Manitoba legislature in 1988 as the MLA for Fort Rouge, and then Crescentwood in Winnipeg, where he served as the deputy leader of the official opposition for the Manitoba Liberals. Jim left provincial politics in 1992 to become a well-respected editorial writer and columnist. In 1998, he co-founded the Business Council of Manitoba, where he served as its president and CEO until 2015. It was in 2011 when he and I first met. I had decided to run in the 2011 provincial election, and I asked to meet with him in his capacity as head of the Business Council of Manitoba to discuss their policies. He immediately agreed to the meeting, and I'm pretty sure we met for over 2 hours that day, debating the nuances of the Manitoba economy and the importance of well-developed policy. In fact, I remember a long discussion over whether the provincial sales tax should be increased from 7 to 8%. Of course, as a good Tory, I argued against this increase. In the end, a gentleman throughout, Jim and I agreed to disagree on that one. During that meeting, Jim and I also discussed his admiration for former Manitoba Premier Duff Roblin. Jim admired Roblin for bringing in transformative education reform in the 1960s, and of course, everyone admired Premier Roblin for getting the Red River floodway built, what Manitobans affectionately call Duff's Ditch. During that meeting, Jim told me that he and Premier Roblin were in fact close friends. Premier Roblin had just passed away. Jim also told me he had assisted Premier Roblin in the writing of his memoir and was a close confidant of the former Premier. Even then, Jim was building bridges. Premier Roblin was a progressive conservative and Jim was a liberal, but it didn't matter what your political party was for Jim. What mattered was what you could accomplish together. When Premier Roblin passed away in 2010, Jim gave the eulogy, saying, "Throughout his long stint in public life, Roblin never had an ill word to say about anybody. Civility and respect were never compromised." Well, Jim, today, I am saying that about you. In 2015, 23 years after he left the Manitoba legislature, Jim was elected as the Member of Parliament for Winnipeg South Centre, a role he cherished. He loved serving his constituents, and he loved solving problems. He served in cabinet as Minister of Natural Resources, Minister of International Trade Diversification, and Special Representative for the Prairies. It goes without saying that Jim had the respect of all members of this House, regardless of their political affiliation. He was a fearless advocate for the interests of Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Canada. Just 3 weeks ago, I was with him at the grand opening of the Leaf Diversity Garden in Assiniboine Park in Winnipeg, where he spoke optimistically about the future of Winnipeg. Jim was always an insightful and thoughtful speaker, and I always enjoyed very much listening to his words. Jim was also a strong supporter and well-respected member of Winnipeg's Jewish community. He would regularly attend community events and give remarks. He was a fighter against all forms of racism, including anti-Semitism, but in true form, always the bridge builder. He joined Winnipeg's Arab-Jewish dialogue, where members of both communities would meet together regularly to discuss and try and solve issues. In that speech Jim gave about his bill, he started it by talking about how he had won the private members' bill lottery. He said, and I'm quoting, "One does not plan in life to win the lottery, but when one does, one is left with decisions about how to take advantage of that good fortune." I think it's safe to say that all Canadians won the lottery for having Jim share his life with us. It was our good fortune. On behalf of my Conservative colleagues, I want to offer our sincerest condolences to his spouse, Colleen Souchet, his children, grandchildren, and his extended family. Mr. Speaker, in Judaism, there's a concept called tikkun olam. It literally means repair the world, to make it a better place. There can be no doubt Jim Carr left this world a far better place. May his soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life, and may his memory be a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam dayan ha'amet. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, the judge of truth. Jim, we will miss you.
The Honourable Member for Avignon-Lamitis-Matane-Matapédia. Mr. Speaker, first of all, on behalf of the Bloc Québécois, I'd like to offer our most sincere condolences to the family of the Honourable Jim Carr, to his friends and to his colleagues in the House, in particular from the Liberal Party. Some things are harder to say than others. I would have liked our colleague Jim to be able to hear the kind words we have for him today, but life decided otherwise. So it's with a heavy heart, but with the greatest pride, that we pay tribute to him. When I was asked to speak, I thought long and hard about how to do it properly. I could have begun by praising his poise, his sincerity, and his sense of duty as a parliamentarian. I could have highlighted his political debut on the Manitoba provincial scene, where it was already clear that a formidable leader, proud of his roots and the people he represented, was developing. I could have highlighted his work as a special representative for the prairies, as Minister of International Trade Diversification, or as Minister of Natural Resources, where he initiated long-term work to ensure that the development of our resources was consistent with our environmental targets and the challenges of climate change. He recently saw his own bill go through third reading in this House and first reading in the Senate. He was determined to see his beloved prairies become greener. In politics, we debate. We see the problems and challenges facing our society, and we look for solutions. We rarely agree, and that's a good thing. The multiplication of ideas, different visions, and so on, it all feeds reflection. And from time to time, when we listen to one another, when we talk to one another without partisanship in good faith, we can come up with good ideas that serve the public interest. Jim Carr was a politician who knew how to listen and who, as we saw last week in his last speech, respected his political opponents, and we respected him in return. I could have limited myself to his political career in this House, but I would be leaving out the most important thing. Jim was, above all, an extraordinary person, a kind, gentle, generous, and brilliant man. A man whose heart was in the right place, as we say where I'm from. Regardless of his political affiliation, Jim saw, first and foremost, the human being behind the parliamentarian. I met Jim almost a year ago. He'd just been appointed chair of the Standing Committee on Public Safety, and he wanted to get to know the MPs he would be working with. So we met on Zoom on a Tuesday in January to talk about everything and anything, to get to know each other. We talked about our lives, our backgrounds, our families, and our interests. With our lives moving so fast all the time, I found it a little odd that this man took the time. I enjoyed that moment and all the others I shared with him. When he stepped down as chair of the committee a few months ago, we grew even closer. We were both in the chamber on Wednesday afternoons, and that was our time to touch base with one another. Jim wanted to be in Parliament until the very end, and he was. He was a true enthusiast, but more importantly, a fighter. To me, Jim is a model of upstandingness and goodness, and the time I spend with him is etched in my memory, and I always think of him when I set foot in this place. I will no longer meet his determined and tender gaze, but I know he'll be watching over us. Mr. Speaker, when a loved one leaves us, we always wonder about the last time we saw them and what words we said. We'd like to turn back the clock and take the time to do that. One of the last things he said to me will remain in my heart. He said, "You are a rising star in Parliament, Christina, and it's fun watching you grow day by day. I'll see you in the House." Jim, you were a great inspiration to me, and I will miss you terribly. Rest in peace. I'll see you in the House. Once again, to all those who loved him, my deepest condolences. Thank you.
The honourable member for South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Mr. Speaker, I rise here this afternoon with sadness to pay tribute to our friend and colleague, Jim Carr. And Jim was very much a friend and colleague to everyone here. In my experience, he was the best kind of politician, someone who truly believed in serving his community, his province, and his country. Someone who was always trying to reach across the aisle, to work together with all sides, someone who sought to bring people together. And I think some of those characteristics came from his varied career path. He used to say he was a bit of a hippie in his youth, and he was even a member of the NDP for a while. He was a professional musician, playing oboe with the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, and was a journalist with the Winnipeg Free Press. For a number of years, he was a member of the Manitoba legislature. And he was also the president of the Manitoba Business Council and an early advocate for a clean energy strategy for Canada. That's the kind of background that really allows someone to see all sides of an issue and different ways of solving problems. And I got to know Jim when I was the NDP critic for natural resources and he was the minister. We traveled together several times. And I didn't always agree with him, but he always treated me with complete respect. To my mild discomfort, he several times introduced me at conferences as his nice critic. I was a bit torn about that representation, but it really did reflect the collegial relationship that we had. Jim was someone who really wanted to bring people together. In 2017, he organized the Generation Energy Conference in his hometown of Winnipeg. Jim was very proud of that conference and how it did bring together people from all over North America and indeed the world to his hometown to talk about the shift to clean energy. And in the middle of the conference, he invited many attendees to his own house for a party, which turned out to be his birthday party. I don't think the conference was planned to coincide with his birthday, but it was certainly a great way for us to meet interesting people who had come to tackle some of the difficult questions of our time, and all the while enjoying Jim and Colleen's hospitality. The following year, I traveled with Jim to the G20 Energy Summit in Argentina. And there he was very proud of the hard work that he and his team put in to bring the United States on board. And remember, this was in the middle of the Trump presidency, with a communique that talked of the climate crisis and the need to shift to a greener, low-carbon future. Jim moved into the international trade portfolio later that year, so I didn't see so much of him after that, but from all accounts, he brought the same energy and conviction to that file as he did with natural resources, having faith that parties that seem far apart on important issues could be brought closer together with honest dialogue. And he was also a great chair at meetings and made sure that that honest dialogue actually led to meaningful action whenever possible. Jim was so happy to see his private member's bill on building a green economy on the prairies pass through the House of Commons last week. And despite his long battle with cancer, he looked great and spent time thanking all of us who had supported him. He knew his cancer was terminal, but as he often said, every day counts. Jim loved his country. He cared about his community. He went out of his way to encourage new MPs of all parties. We need more people like Jim Carr in this place and at every level of government in Canada. On behalf of the New Democratic Party caucus, I'd like to extend my deepest condolences to his wife, Colleen, and all of his family. And I'd like to thank them for sharing him with us these past 7 years. And to Jim, I'd just like to say, farewell, my friend, Godspeed, Shalom.
The honourable member for Saanich Gulf Island.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Merci à tous mes collègues. Merci pour tous les.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank all my colleagues for all the words in tribute to our friend and colleague Jim Carr, particularly those of the Prime Minister, the member for Charleswood, St. James, Assiniboine, Headingley, the member for Avignon, Lamitis, Matane, Matapédia, and the member for South Okanagan, West Kootenay. Everyone shared the same emotions, I think, because we've lost someone very dear to us, someone that everyone loved a lot.
For quite a long time, in that we were both, I wish I could be there in person, oh my, but we got to know each other through an organization that's playing quite a role here at COP15. The International Institute for Sustainable Development is based in Winnipeg. Jim was a member of the board. I overlapped with him on the board for 5 years, beginning in the year 2000. He went on to be the vice chair of the International Institute for Sustainable Development. And I saw the influence of that experience in working on sustainable development in his work in Parliament. It bound us together as friends before we met in the chamber as fellow members of Parliament. There have been many words said about his enormous depth of character, his range of interests, none of them superficial. Imagine being interested in music, but being able to play oboe at a symphony orchestra, being concerned with the rights of peoples around the world and serving to meet those ends in Parliament. His work for community, and I particularly to the member for Charleswood, St. James, Assiniboine, Headingley, I had wanted to mention knowing what a strong advocate for the Jewish community Jim Carr was always. His Russian Jewish descendants having come to Canada in the year 1906, he never forgot those roots. He was also, of course, a journalist. So much has been mentioned. I can only think of one thing that wasn't shared yet. So I wanted to say what I think a lot of us knew. Jim was really funny. Jim had a killer sense of humor. He could have been perhaps a professional impersonator. I don't know how many of you ever got to see his quite killing imitation of JFK. He had Kennedy-esque looks, and he pulled off a Boston accent like nobody's business. He was enormously gifted, and he shared those talents with us all. The president of the International Institute for Sustainable Development, Richard Florian, said on the statement from that organization that Jim was, quote, a rare polymath, unquote. And that is a tribute to the ways in which he was able to come into our lives, into policy, into politics, into the arts, into community, into business, and never superficially. He's left an enormous impact throughout his life on so many different facets of our society. No doubt the Prime Minister is exactly right. He loved this country, every inch of it. I will cherish the memory. It's almost impossible to believe it was only 7 days ago that I hugged Jim next to his desk when Bill C-235 passed. It was a distinct honor and one I don't take for granted that he asked me to be his official seconder. It's rare to ask someone who's not in your own party to second your bill, but I hold it as a cherished memory. And I never would have believed that when I hugged him to congratulate him on Bill C-235, building a greener prairie economy, that was the last time I would get to hug him. We knew his days were not many, but each day made a difference. And as he said, every day he'd pass my desk to walk down to take his spot in the front row. And I'd say, Jim, how are you? He'd say, every day is a blessing. Let us remember his words and live our lives to be worthy of that knowledge. Every day is a blessing. Let us use each day as a blessing in the service of our Lord, whatever faith we follow. Let us remember every day is a blessing. And we are honored to have known you, Jim. Love you. I'll miss you. deepest condolences and sympathy to Colleen and all the family. Et merci pour tous mes collègues pour cette opportunité.
And I'd like to thank all my colleagues for this opportunity to share a few words to underscore that we lost a giant, a great Canadian, a mensch. Thank you.
Honorables collègues, c'est avec une profonde tristesse.
Honorable colleagues, it is with great sadness that we rise to acknowledge the death of a great man, the Honorable Jim Carr.
Journalist, business leader, and politician, Jim was a Renaissance man. He excelled at whatever he chose to do. And luckily for those of us here today and for Canada, he chose a life of public service. With intelligence, kindness, and hard work, he committed to making the world a better place for the people of Winnipeg South, Centre, Manitobans, and all Canadians. His heart was as big as beloved prairies. Jim était un homme passionné, un homme d'action.
He was a passionate man, a man of action who was dedicated to making Canada a better country. He was a source of inspiration for all of us. His smile, his calm, his kindness will be an example not only regarding how to be a politician, but also regarding how to live your life.
When Jim had something to say, we all listened. He led by example, always ready to tackle the tough challenges of our time. He was a great communicator, a bridge builder, not only between individuals, but also between different interests and sectors. He always saw the big picture and kept his focus on what really mattered. He was a wonderful friend and colleague who will be greatly missed. I hope that in the midst of their grief, Jim's family finds comfort in knowing that his legacy will be deep and enduring in this place and across the country. This Canada that he so much loved. Thank you. Merci. I invite the honourable members to stand to observe a moment of silence in honour of our dear colleague, the Honourable Jim Carr. I'm now ready to rule on the question of privilege raised on December 13, 2022 by the member for Haldimand Norfolk concerning an accusation made by the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development. The member argued that the minister falsely accused her of having used an offensive word, specifically anti-Semite, in relation to another member. She emphatically denies having made such a statement and feels that the minister's accusations has damaged her reputation. She also asked for an apology. La présidence prend au sérieux tout.
The chair takes seriously all situations where the reputation of a member is at play. I understand how certain words or accusations can cause offense. And the chair does not doubt that the member from Haldeman Norfolk felt that way. After this matter was first raised on December 8th, I undertook to review the debates and audio recordings. Not having heard the alleged comment myself that day.
The chair can report that the word in question could not be heard through the audio. Since the alleged unparliamentary language could not be confirmed, the chair is left with two versions of the same event and the impossible task to determine what was said. Faced with similar situations, Speaker Milliken stated on October 30th, 2006, in a ruling found on page 4414 of the debates that, and I quote, requesting an apology or a withdrawal is predicated on a common agreement about what actually took place, either because the exchange appears in official record or because both parties acknowledge that the exchange took place. In this case, the official record is not helpful, and the Speaker is faced with a dispute, indeed a contradiction, about what actually happened, unquote. Plus loin, à la page 4400.
Further down on page 4415 of the debates, Speaker Milliken added, and I quote, in the case before the House now, the remarks may or may not have been said. However, it is not for the Speaker to decide where the truth lies, unquote.
Nothing in the parliamentary record that allows for the chair to determine whether such a comment was made and by whom. The member for Haldeman Norfolk has denied making this comment, and her denial is on the record. It is not clear to the chair, though, how this situation prevented the member from accomplishing her parliamentary work. Consequently, the chair cannot find a prima facie case of privilege and therefore cannot give the matter priority over all other proceedings. La présidence profite de l'occasion.
The chair takes this opportunity once again to ask all members to conduct themselves in a dignified manner and to show continued respect for one another. All members need to be judicious in their choice of words, on and off the record.
Merci.
I thank all members for their attention.
Daily routine of business, tabling of documents. The Honourable Minister of Veterans Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order 32.2, I have the honour to table in both official languages the Veterans Ombuds Annual Report for 2021-22. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable tabling of documents. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it is my pleasure to table the 2021-2022 report by federal authorities with obligations under Section 71 of SIA 2012. The report is to be forwarded to the Standing Committee on Environment and Sustainable Development pursuant to Standing Order 32.5. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and best of...
Tabling of documents. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order 36.8a, I have the honour to table in both official languages the government's responses to two petitions. These returns will be tabled in an electronic format.
Introduction of government bills. Madame Qualtrough, secondée par Madame Haidu.
Ms. Qualtrough, seconded by Ms. Haidu, requests leave to table a bill entitled An Act to Amend the Department of Employment and Social Development Act and to make consequential amendments to other acts. Employment Insurance Board of Appeal.
Adopted. Ms. Qualtrough, seconded by Ms. Haidju, moves that the bill be now read a first time and be printed. This motion is deemed adopted.
Reading of this bill, première lecture de ce projet de loi.
When shall this bill be read a second time? At the next sitting of the House. Madame Haidju, appuyée par Madame Qualtrough, demande la permission.
Ms. Haidju, seconded by Ms. Qualtrough, requests leave to table a bill entitled An Act to Amend the Indian Act, New Registration Entitlements.
This motion is deemed adopted. Ms. Haidju, seconded by Ms. Qualtrough, moves that the bill be now read a first time and be printed. This motion is deemed adopted.
First reading of this bill, première lecture de ce projet de loi.
When shall the bill be read a second time? At the next sitting of the House. Statements by ministers. Rapport de délégation interparlementaire. Présentation de rapport de comité. The Honourable Member for Cloverdale Langley City.
The honour to present in both official languages the 7th report of the Standing Committee on Natural Resources entitled A Study into the Government of Canada's Promise to Cap Greenhouse Gas Emissions of the Oil and Gas Sector. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Cypress Hills Grasslands has another report.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the members of the Conservative Party and Natural Resources Committee, I have the honour to table our dissenting report. The report fails to properly mention the world-leading standards that Canada has. It also fails to address issues like carbon leakage and give credit to the fact what rural, remote, and Indigenous communities provide when it comes to service work in the energy sector. Canada has what the world needs, Madam Speaker. That's clean, reliable, affordable energy, and the Liberal emissions cap will substantively prohibit Canada from being able to take its place as a world leader in energy production. Thank you.
Honorable député de Bourassa.
The Honourable Member for Bourassa.
To present in both official languages the 9th report of the Standing Committee on Veteran Affairs entitled Survivor Retirement Pension Benefits Marriage After 60. Pursuant to Standing Order 109, the committee requests that the government table a comprehensive response to this report. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Charlottetown.
Languages, the 9th report of the Standing Committee on Health and Bill C-224, an act to establish a national framework for the prevention and treatment of cancers linked to firefighting. Le comité a étudié le projet.
The committee studied the bill and decided to report to the House with amendments.
Madam Speaker, we who work in the standing committees are privileged to have the support of some professional support folks from the House of Commons and from the Library of Parliament, and I would like to recognize the Clerk of the Health Committee, Patrick Williams, the analysts from the Library of Parliament, Sarah Dodsworth and Kelly Farah, and wish them a joyous and peaceful holiday season. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Elgin, Middlesex, London.
Very much, Madam Clerk. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, Madam Speaker. I have the honour to present in both official languages the 5th report of the Standing Committee of the Status of Women entitled Responding to the Calls for Justice, Addressing Violence Against Indigenous Women and Girls in the Context of the Resource Development Projects. Pursuant to Standing Order 109, or Order 109, the government requests the government the committee requests that the government table a comprehensive response to this report. Madam Speaker, I would have probably done a better job if I remembered my glasses 6 hours away from here, but this reminds me and gives me an opportunity to say thank you to the incredible work that was done by the staff in this committee. A special thank you to Alexi LaBelle. She has served as our clerk for 2 years and will be going on to her next journey as she graduates out of FEO and will continue on this great journey. Thank you so much to Dominique and Claire, who are the analysts. It has been wonderful working with everybody, and I am so proud to table this on behalf of our committee members. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for New Brunswick Southwest.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I have the honor to present in both official languages the 22nd report of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts in relation to the motion adopted on Friday, December the 9th, 2022, regarding 2022 reports 9 and 10 of the Auditor General of Canada. The motion reads that the committee report to the House that the committee affirms its support for the Auditor General in the independence and integrity of the office, and that the committee also requests a government response pursuant to Standing Order 109.
Also, I have the honor of tabling the 23rd report of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, entitled Access to Benefits for Hard-to-Reach Populations.
Order 109, the committee requests that the government take a comprehensive response to, table a comprehensive response to each of these two reports. Like many other members in this House, Madam Speaker, I am looking forward to the Christmas recess to catch up, but I do want to thank the staff of the House and, of course, my assistants on the Public Accounts Committee, the clerk and the analysts. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas, everyone.
The honourable member for Waterloo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in this place we often talk about firsts, but we don't always get to talk about the last or the finals. And just as the person who was the last seatmate, the final seatmate of the Honourable Jim Carr in the House of Commons, I do want to ensure that I also share my condolences with his family and also with all of his team members. And I just want them to know that he adored them, and because they adored him, I want them to be assured that I adore them and will do whatever I can to ensure that we get through this challenging time. Madam Speaker, I have the honour to present in both official languages the 19th report of the Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs, entitled Protecting the Parliamentary Precinct, Responding to Evolving Risks. And I want to really take a moment to thank all colleagues on PROC. Believe it or not, it's sometimes tough, but I really do appreciate all members on PROC, past and present. And PROC members would like to thank Justin, our clerk, as well as Lawrence and Andre, our analysts. We would like to appreciate the witnesses. PROC members also thank all support staff, including our teams, the AV and IT crews, interpreters, food services, and all involved in supporting the work that we do. Madam Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 109, the committee requests that the government table a comprehensive response to this report. And we would also just like to thank you, Madam Speaker, and your crew. We'd like to thank the House administration, all pages, and everyone involved in making this place functional to the best of its ability. We hope you keep well and you keep safe, and we look forward to seeing you in 2023. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you to the Honourable Member. I believe the Honourable Member for Red Deer Lacombe has a dissenting report.
Madam Speaker, from the outset, Conservatives wish to acknowledge and thank our security and policing professionals for their hard and important work keeping our Parliament safe, secure, open and accessible, important hallmarks of any democratic legislature. And while I'm on my feet, Madam Speaker, I'd like to thank and wish each and every one of those people a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. During the study, the committee heard testimony about the implications the closure of Wellington Street has on the local businesses in downtown Ottawa, already suffering from the pandemic and a Liberal government keeping public servants working at home, as well as the disruption it brought to Ottawa and Gatineau's public transit operators. At the committee table, we also heard a lot about the importance of communication, coordination and collaboration among the assorted police and security services with responsibilities in the National Capital Region. The importance of taking time to get things right among stakeholders was stressed by witnesses, even by the Liberal Public Services Minister who appeared. What we didn't hear was a call for politicians to decide security arrangements and impose them on the professionals. That's why Conservatives are dissenting from this report. Put simply, we think the majority on the committee is going too far and too fast with its prescriptive recommendations. We would have preferred the professionals collaborate on developing a coherent plan which reflects a consensus of implicated stakeholders subject to parliamentary oversight. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Egmont.
Madam Speaker, I have the honour to present in both official languages the 6th report of the Standing Committee on Human Resources, Skills and Social Development and the Status of Persons with Disabilities, entitled Bill C-22, an act to reduce poverty and to support the financial security of persons with disabilities by establishing the Canada Disability Benefit,
and making consequential amendment to the Income Tax Act. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the staff of the committee and all the committee members from all parties that sat on the committee on reviewing this important piece of and historic piece of legislation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I believe the honourable member for Denetime-Assinipi, Churchill River, is raising his hand on a point of order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in regards to the vote on S233, I'm asking for the consent of the House to reflect that the vote in this House is unanimous in its opposition to organ harvesting. I erred when I used the app in my vote, Madam Speaker, and I'm looking for consent of the House to make that vote unanimous.
Does the honourable member have the consent of the House?
Does the House give its consentment?
Unanimous consent is given, so the vote is unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Introduction of private members' bills. Première lecture de...
First reading of Senate public bills.
Motion.
Motions. Presenting petitions.
The honourable member for Mission Matsqui, Fraser Canyon.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. And before I begin, let me just wish you a Merry, Merry Christmas. And if you might indulge me for a minute, I'd like to extend that Merry Christmas to all Canadians and especially my constituents in Canada's #1 riding, Mission Matsqui, Fraser Canyon. And a big special thanks to my alma mater, Robert Bateman, on winning the AA Boys Football Provincial Championships. Congratulations on your undefeated season. And now turning to parliamentary business. Today I'm tabling a very important petition signed by constituents in Canada's #1 riding about spam calls. In fact, sitting here in this parliament today, I had a call from China, from Yunnan province, a spam call, Madam Speaker. Constituents are demanding that the telecom companies in Canada and the government of Canada, through regulation, put in force strong anti-spam measures so that people can use their home phones again and not be afraid to pick up the phone to hear from someone that shouldn't have their number in the first place. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Presenting petitions, the honourable member for Etobicoke-Machakos.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I too would like to extend to everyone in this House, including yourself, and to all members, a very Merry Christmas and wishes for a happy and blessed New Year. It is an honor to serve in this, the People's House, and I'd like to wish all those of Etobicoke-Machakos a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to them and their families. Madam Speaker, the signatories of this petition, which is an honor for me to present today, are calling on the government to pass legislation banning forced organ harvesting and trafficking. And as of a few minutes ago, this legislation has now passed unanimously in this House, and I say congratulations to the mover and to all those who supported this bill in becoming a law. So those who signed this petition can be quite happy today. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Presenting petitions, the honourable member for Central Okanagan, Similkin and Nicola.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'm here today to present a petition from people across Canada who are growing increasingly concerned with what is happening in Iran, with the government of Iran, and most certainly with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and also the growing sense that the government of Canada is not taking action on this issue. We can all think of Mahsa Amini, and some of the other people that have lost their lives through state-sanctioned executions, Madam Speaker, Mohsen Shikari, Madriza Ranunavard, Kian Perfalak, who is 9 years old, Madam Speaker. These names join the other 55 Canadians and 30 permanent residents that died and were shot down in Ukraine International Flight 752. Killed by the IRGC. And this petition, Madam Speaker, seeks to immediately list Iran's IRGC as a terrorist entity, deport from Canada any individual connected with the Iranian government or the IRGC, and seize those Canadian assets of these individuals and then redistribute them, Madam Speaker, to the victims of this regime. Madam Speaker, I do hope the House of Commons, I do hope the Government of Canada hears the plea of these petitioners and takes swift actions in regards to this matter.
The honourable member for St. Albert Edmonton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to present a petition signed on behalf of Canadians. The petitioners are calling for Parliament to expeditiously pass legislation banning forced organ harvesting and trafficking. And this afternoon, this House unanimously passed such legislation, Bill S-223, and I want to take this moment to commend Senator Selma Tullajean and the member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan, for their steadfast leadership, both great champions of human rights. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Honourable member for Haldimand Northfolk.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today I rise to present a petition on behalf of 565 constituents. Many of them are members of churches or volunteers at charities or staff in social services organizations in the riding of Haldimand Norfolk. These constituents have expressed their concern about the pledge made by the Liberal Party in their 2021 platform to deny charitable status to organizations that they label as providing dishonest counseling to women about their rights and options. The petitioners are concerned that this policy will jeopardize the charitable status of hospitals, houses of worship, schools, homeless shelters, and other charitable organizations. And these charitable organizations may not agree with the Liberal Party on this policy as a matter of conscience. Petitioners believe that charitable organizations provide help and services to all Canadians and that they benefit from that they should not have to pass the values test as set by the Liberals, like the government did when the government...
Interrupt the honourable member. May I interrupt? We tend on petitions to have a very short description of the petition.
Constituents, we call on the House of Commons to protect the application of the charitable status as so ruled. Thank you.
The honourable member for Cypress Hills Grasslands.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to rise one more time to present a petition by signatories who are calling on the government to pass legislation banning forced organ harvesting and trafficking. I'd also just like to note that the House has passed this legislation as of this afternoon, and congratulate all the members who have worked very hard on the passage of this bill, and wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Presenting petitions, the honourable member for Sherwood Park for Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm pleased to be tabling 104 petitions in the House today. Members will be pleased to know that I will not be offering unique description of each one. They are all on the same subject. I have, for some time in this House, been tabling petitions related to forced organ harvesting and trafficking, and every single one of these petitions follows immense work done by community members who are out and about various places, encouraging others to sign these petitions. There has been an immense amount of work by people throughout this country that has gone into the petition campaign around forced organ harvesting and trafficking, and I think their work has helped raise the awareness of members of Parliament on this issue, so I want to thank and recognize them. These petitions are calling on Parliament to pass legislation banning forced organ harvesting and trafficking, which has now occurred. This will likely be the last time I table any petitions on this subject, but don't worry, I will have other petitions on other subjects on other days. Merry Christmas.
Presenting petitions. Questions on the order paper. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Government House Leader.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. The following questions will be answered today. Question 943, 946, 948, 949, 952, 957, 959, 961, and 962. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, if the government's responses to questions numbers 942, 944, 945, 947, 950, 951, 953 to 956, 958, 960, 963, and 964 could be made for orders returns. These returns would be tabled immediately.
Plaît-il à la Chambre que les questions...
Is the House in agreement that the aforementioned questions be turned into orders for return and that those orders be tabled immediately?
Il est ainsi convenu et ordonné.
Agreed, and so ordered.
I would ask that all remaining questions be allowed to stand at this time, please.
So ordered. Pursuant to order made earlier today, the House will now proceed to brief statements. I now recognize the Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And let me start by saying we heard wonderful tributes by all parties to our former colleague, the late Jim Carr. I just want to really appreciate all the comments made by members. And it is a very acute reminder of the brevity of our time on this planet. And I want to thank all members for choosing to take the time that they have on this earth to serve their communities in this country. And I hope that all members have a wonderful Christmas. I want to thank you, Madam Speaker, and the Speaker and the entire Speaker team for all the work that you do throughout the year. I want to thank my other House Leader counterparts who I've very much enjoyed working with, the newly appointed House Leader for the Conservatives from Regina Capel, who I very much enjoyed working with and looking forward to the year ahead. Aussi, l'honorable.
Also, the honourable member for La Prairie, who is an extraordinary man and a good friend. Thank you very much for all of your efforts, and I appreciate that very much.
To thank the Honourable House Leader for the NDP from New Westminster, Burnaby, who's an incredible gentleman as well, who I appreciate working with. I'll also thank our own whip, the member for Gatineau, and his extraordinary deputy, the member for Brampton North, for their remarkable work. I want to thank the whips of the other parties. I know, having done it for 3 years, what a tough job it is. But I want to thank the member for South Surrey White Rock, le député,
the member for Salaberry-sur-Loire,
and the NDP whip from North Island, Powell River, for their excellent work. And I enjoyed working with her and also the member from the bloc in my time as whip, and appreciate all that they do, Mr. Speaker. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit more quickly, but I really want to thank, Madam Speaker, the staff who worked so tirelessly for this place, the Parliamentary Protective Service that keeps us safe, the Sergeant-at-Arms and his team, the table officers, and all the branches of the House administration. And I want to save my final word, Madam Speaker, for the clerk, Mr. Charles Robert. 42 years of remarkable, dedicated service to this chamber. The flame of democracy is delicate, and perhaps never been more delicate than it has over the last number of years, and the service that he has done to our democracy over that period of time is recognized, seen, and sincerely appreciated. Mr. Clerk, we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. We're greatly indebted to you for all the work that you did silently. I don't think anybody knows the fullness of not only your dedication to this place, but the impact of your service, the impact of modernizing this place, and your passion for this chamber. I want to thank you on behalf of all parliamentarians for your service, Mr. Clerk, and wish you all the best in the future. And I wish to all parliamentarians and everybody who hears this a very Merry Christmas, and hope everybody has a wonderful holiday. That includes you, the member across, absolutely.
The Honourable Leader of His Majesty's Loyal Opposition.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I don't want to sound too repetitive, but we're going to be thanking many of the same people. But I too want to add my voice on behalf of my colleagues to wish everyone a Merry Christmas around the parliamentary precinct. And you know, it's been a tumultuous few years, and this House has seen a lot and had to grapple with a lot of challenges over the last few years. And the fact that we are always served at such a high degree of professionalism and excellence by everyone around the precinct, including the procedural team here at the table and all the many people that work for them, Journals Branch and Hansard Translation Security. It takes a lot to allow this chamber to function and allow members of Parliament to represent their constituents and go about doing the people's work here on their behalf. So I'd also like to add a very special word of thanks to all the staff who work for members of Parliament. it's our names and faces that go on television, on our campaign signs, and on the ballot. But boy, do we have a lot of people behind us helping us do our job, and they are often the unsung heroes who are here late at night going through briefing material, going through Auditor General's reports, or translating things into one of the two official languages. And so I know that they will welcome the early adjournment this week and take a little time to recuperate, because it has been a fairly lengthy stretch that we're coming to a close now. Je veux aussi remercier mes...
I would also like to thank my counterparts in the other parties. This is my second go-round as a government leader, or opposition leader for my team, rather, and it's the second time that I've worked with the Honourable Member for Burnaby New Westminster.
With the Honourable Member for Burnaby New Westminster, my first time, ma première fois de travailler.
And my first time working with the Honourable Member for La Prairie. But it's clear that no matter which party we represent here in the House, we are all motivated by the same thing.
We've got elected from, or regardless of our political philosophy, I've got to know over the years that members of Parliament are all motivated by the same thing. Even though we may disagree, and I may feel that some of my colleagues are misguided in their approach, their motivation is to do what's right by their constituents and what's good for the country. I think this time of season, it's good for us to kind of reflect on that, on the common bonds of humanity that we all share, and tragically, in the wake of a colleague's passing, it is a good opportunity as we celebrate the birth of Christ and all the hope that brings the world. It is a constant reminder that our time on this planet is short, so we should appreciate the best of each other. And as we enter into the Christmas break, we're going to all be attending events and visiting all corners of our constituents. So I hope it's a safe and happy holiday season. I know there's going to be a lot of travel back and forth, so I hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas break, a very happy New Year, and we'll see everyone back here in February. Merci beaucoup. Oh, January.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I made a short list so I don't forget anyone, because, you know, when you give thanks, you tend to leave some people out. I don't want to end the session by forgetting someone. So first of all, I'd like to thank the leader of the Conservative Party, who's a newcomer. So I've gotten to know him slowly, and I have to say the future's promising. We get along well, and I'm sure that our friendship is only just budding. So I'm sure that things will get better and better, as they have with the other House leaders. The other House leaders that came before the member for Regina Capel, who's a gentleman, because I believe he's a gentleman. All this to say, I'm very pleased. I think we're going to have a great relationship. I'm sure of it. And the government House leader from the Liberal Party, I've gotten to know him over the year, and we're getting to know each other. We're taming one another, if you will. And I think things are getting better. And I believe that we are developing a sincere friendship. I think he's a great guy. So I salute the member for Ajax. And then an old warrior, the member for New Westminster Burnaby. I've always worked with him on behalf of the New Democrats. He's got a lot of experience, and I have to say that our relationship is a good one. We work well together, and I'm sure that will keep up. And the Conservative House leader talked about how great our staff are. I can only agree. And I commend all the staff who help us do our best and perform and on behalf of our people. All that, you know, when you're in politics, you have to work hard. You often forget the people who make it possible for us to do our job. So I have a list here, and it's a very important one. The clerks, the analysts, the interpreters. There's such an important team to help French survive here in the House. The pages, I think they learn a lot here. I think it's a useful experience for them, what to do and what not to do. But I commend them, and perhaps one day we'll see them in another universe. I'm convinced that they will all be very successful in life. They're a great group of young people. The maintenance people, the cafeteria and restaurant people, the IT people. Sometimes people like me have to call them, we don't really know what's going on. I'm a Luddite, but they're very patient, and they always help me out. The reporters on the Hill that report on everything that goes on here, and that's so important for our democracy. We mustn't forget them. And I'll end with you, Madam Speaker, and your whole team, the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, and so on. When I stand in the House and when I look at you, I get the feeling at least one person is listening to me, and that's wonderful. Thank you, Madam Speaker. So I wish you all happy holidays, happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and whatever you want in 2023. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to allow myself to say a couple of things. I'd like to thank the member for Joliette, who often pitches in to help us out in the chair. So I'd like to recognize him. The honourable member for North Island, Powell River.
And I'm very pleased to rise here today to extend best wishes, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everyone, and a big thanks to everyone around the House from the New Democratic Caucus. Of course, that includes as well all of my colleagues. I thank you all for your kind words here today. I know that the House leaders and the whips of all parties work very hard to make things flow as well as they possibly can in this place in sometimes very interesting circumstances. And we also know that people across Canada may not know it, but there's a lot of talented folks in this place that make everything run so smoothly with their professional diligence. So first of all, I would like to thank the Speaker and his team who do tremendous work and have very helpful procedural experts in the Clerk's office, the table, the Journals branch, the committee staff, the Library of Parliament staff, and of course, all of our incredible pages who are so good to us. I also want to recognize the Sergeant-at-Arms and his team. And you know what, Madam Speaker, they must be doing something right, because one of them, upon retirement, continues to come here 2 days a week. So thank you to Daryl for that. There is the parliamentary precinct security as well as traffic operations, the drivers of the buses, dispatch operators, mailroom staff, and messengers who keep us all connected in various ways. There's the cafeteria staff and the parliamentary restaurant and all the food services and catering team. And of course, the amazing maintenance team, the tradespeople of the parliamentary precinct, material management, and room allocation. They do invisible work, but boy, do we all appreciate it. There is everyone in the information services, including telecom, ISSI, printing services, and the broadcasting team. And there are the people who deal with HR, finance, travel, and pay and benefits. Boy, do they help us a lot. And there are the folks who document all of our words in Hansard and who translate and interpret them from one language to another. The last 2 years and the pandemic have brought incredible challenges for everyone, and I am so grateful for the extraordinary work that all of these people have put in to ensure the House can operate efficiently and effectively. Finally, I want to pay a special tribute to Clerk Charles Robert, who is retiring in January after 42 years of service on the Hill. I wish him all the best. And I would also like to thank our nurse consultant, Lizzie Seguin, who will be retiring after 32 years of loyal service. She has always been there for hundreds of members and the staff that are here who have benefited from her incredible care. And of course, a very special thanks to the NDP Whip and House Leaders team who make us look very good on this side of the House. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and everyone who works so hard in this place, and I wish you all the best over the holidays. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Kitchener Centre.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to start by joining in a word of thanks to all House of Commons staff, of which you've heard from many of my colleagues already, from clerks to pages, from interpreters to the Parliamentary Protective Service, food services, IT, House administration, and other staff. on the Hill. As a newer member in this place, it's been interesting for me to come to understand all the different folks that are part of making our work here a possibility. Much has been said by others, and so I'll be brief, simply to share, to recognize that the holidays can be a difficult time for many. It's particularly difficult for those living in poverty. It's difficult for those who've recently lost a loved one, or those with a family member in hospital. And so we want you to know in particular that we send you strength, those that are in positions like that, and that I hope that as we reconvene in the new year, that it'll be with a renewed vigor to address poverty in this country, to strengthen our healthcare system, and to advocate for those whose voice may be more rarely heard in this place. And so happy holidays to my neighbors in Waterloo Region, to colleagues here in the House of Commons, and to all those who make it possible for us to be here. Thank you.
Honorable
Colleagues, before we recess, I'd like to take a moment to thank all the House of Commons staff and wish them happy holidays. Without the dedication and professionalism of each and every one of you, it would be particularly difficult for the House to operate daily.
Restaurant and catering staff, to our Parliamentary Protective Service, interpreters, translators, pages, table officers, administration, IT and communications professionals, policy analysts, and everyone else who is here to serve Parliament, I thank you from the bottom of our hearts, collective hearts. Please know that your work matters and that through your excellence, you make the House of Commons work in the service of Canada.
I hope the next few weeks will give you an opportunity to rest up a bit and to spend some good times with your families and loved ones.
Time over the coming weeks to reconnect with their constituents in their ridings. I hope that you will also take the time to reconnect with what is most important to you. Ainsi,
that way, we'll be back at the end of January, refreshed and ready to continue working for Parliament and for Canadians. I'd like to wish all of you very happy holidays.
We'll see you back on January 30th. Merci.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Je partage.
And I share, those are the Speaker's words that I'm sharing with you. It being 5:11, pursuant to an order passed earlier today, the House stands adjourned until Monday, January 30th at 11 a.m., pursuant to Standing Order 28.2 and 24.1.